مجددا في اليوم الثاني من سلسلة المحاضرات التعليمية، ونأمل أن تكونوا قد استفدتم من الطرح والمناقشات التي أثيرت في الأمس، ونتطلع أن تكون محاضرات اليوم ذات أثر إيجابي أيضا على الحضور. بينما نواصل رحلتنا في تصميم استراتيجي لبناء ولاء عملاء ناجح ومربح، يسرني إعادة تقديم المتحدثة المتميزة السيدة لين سويتانوفسكي. تتمتع السيدة لين بخبرات واسعة في مجال المشاركة في المعارض العالمية والفعاليات المؤسسية، وقدمت العديد من المحاضرات والندوات ذات الصلة بمعارض البيع بالتجزئة وقطاع الحيوانات الأليفة في جميع أنحاء العالم. لها عدة مؤلفات وساهمت في كتابة العديد من المنشورات المتعلقة بقطاع التجزئة. اليوم ستشاركنا السيدة لين أهم العناصر الرئيسية التي تحفز ولاء العملاء وكيفية التفاعل معهم. نحن متحمسون لاستضافة السيدة لين سويتانوفسكي مرة أخرى، نرجو منكم جميعا الترحيب بها.
I feel very lucky. His English is, he says, I'm not very good at it. Your pronunciation was perfect. I'm going to change my last name to Smith for next time, okay? Make it easier. Well, hello, everybody. How are you today? Yeah? Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. I like the first slot. We get lots of people in the seats here, better than the last slot. So I see some people back. That's always a good sign to me. People come back from yesterday. Did you have a good day at the show? Yeah? Did you see lots of good stuff? Okay. So all of those great products that you saw, we're going to talk today about how to make sure that your customer stays loyal, that you can get loyal customers. I'm going to ask a question. How many of you, if you raise your hand, were here yesterday for my session? Okay, keep your hands up. How many of you posted on social media? Okay, that's good. That's good. Very good. So we're going to talk about connecting with your customers, right? How do you create what I call customer loyalty? And that is having them come back to your store again and again and again. You're here at this buying show, right? You have new customers coming in every day. What we want to get you is to keep those customers. Keep them coming back again. So that the first time, the second time, the 20th time, and that they tell friends about your business and about the great products that you have. So let's talk about how to do that. That's me. I asked them to move the screen over, but I call myself the top dog. So we have more dogs than cats in the United States, but I have worked with pet retailers and manufacturers like you for almost 20 years. So we've traveled around the world. We hopefully share secrets and tips with you on how to make your business even better. So this is going to sound very strange because we just started this session. But if all of you have your phones, we could spend 45 minutes making your business better with this one slide. And I want you to, I'm going to spend a little bit of time on it because I really want you to understand. Remember yesterday, right? We talked about the customer and you doing all those activities to get the customer to come to see you, right? That's marketing, that's social media posts, that's emails, that's text, that's WhatsApp, that's LinkedIn, that's signs in your store, that's ads in the newspaper, ads in social media. Today's customer wants to be influenced, right? Wants to be led to you. Basically, all of these tools that I want you to see, the focus on the customer, it is about getting the customer to follow your business, to come into your front door in whatever way, this is the tip, they want to. So I'm on the stage. I use the example. Years ago, marketing for your business would be me standing here with a newspaper ad telling you what to buy. Buy this, buy this, buy this. Today, we put the customer in the middle and we put all of the information that we want to tell them in a bunch of different places. Text, email, newspaper, social media, search engine ads, a website, and we give them YouTube. And the idea is, for your business, you put things everywhere, and the customer finds you where they want. So it's not anymore us telling them, it's customers finding us. Does that make sense? Customers finding us. Some of you are e-commerce businesses. You send out messages, right? You target specific customers. If you remember yesterday, we talked about targeting dog owners, cat owners, specific brand owners. You know, you have new brands here that we want to deliver a message for. Kit Kat, a brand, right? Yosera, all the brands that you carry, Apple Paws, all those brands you carry, we deliver messages, and some customers want that brand, some customers want another. So if we can think differently, that the customer is in the middle, and everything we do, and wherever we communicate with the customer, is about them. It is not about us. Where does the customer want to follow us? How does the customer find us? What can we do? What kind of programs can we put together that will entertain, engage, connect with the customers? And our job as business owners is to be, the word ambivalent, but to not care. We put everything out and let the customer come to us where they want to find us. Does that make sense? Is that message? So, ways to do it, right? We talked yesterday about influencers. I'll start there, okay? So influencers, there's a bunch of different people. We talked specifically about a social media influencer, but you could have an article. Some of you could have, there's brands. Somebody might write an article about a food, about some raw treats or some product that you sell or a type of animal, right? So there's lots of different ways. And again, if you think about how you're going to influence the customer to choose a product from your store. Advocacy, we're going to talk about that. Share, reward. We talked yesterday about loyalty programs. That's rewarding your customer for shopping with you, right? That is a very powerful tool. Rewarding keeps people coming back, keeps them loyal, right? Amplify is spreading the message, right? Let me move over here to this side. Community, right? This is the piece, this young customer we talked about, this connected customer that we talked about yesterday, right? And that you see coming into your store. We're trying to build a community where your business is. And the word community means that people love what you do, they love what you sell, they love what you say, and they keep coming back to hear more of it. Here's an example. We talked about education for products. There was, in this room, there was a training session, right, on with food, how to, maybe information, ingredients. Urška gave information about proteins or about the components of food yesterday. That's education, right? That's information that you share with your community to get them to feel that you are experts in what you do, that you're very knowledgeable. And then you share that with your customer. More programs like that. We're going to talk more about, but this is the slide, and then we'll talk about how to do that. But that's exactly what you want to think. Storytelling, right? If we talk about content, that's that dreaded social media I was talking about. But storytelling, right? Visual, buyer's journey. You see the videos of people with their pets coming into the stores, right? Or on the street. Urška today, we went for a walk. She took a picture and a video of every cat she saw. And I'm sure she's going to use that for her business, right? So talking when she gets home to market her veterinary clinic. You see pets every day. coming into your location. That is content that you share with your customers. Happy pets, because they eat the food you sell, they sleep on the beds that you sell, they get carried in the cat carriers that you sell, the toys that they use. Those are all images that you want to share. So if you think of just surrounding your customer with information in these buckets, the whole idea is to get them to be partners with you and buy from you and tell people about your business again and again and again. Simple, right? I know, I'm just kidding. It's a lot different than it used to be, right? I often say, I'm old, probably older than most of you. And when I first started in retail, you opened the front door and people bought what you had. You barely had to do any marketing because you had a store, so that made you the expert. Now there's much more competition. And I appreciate that you might be friendly with your competition. Maybe you know who they are. But in the cases of specifically Riyadh, your competition is 100 meters away, 50 meters away. So how you showcase your products and how you talk to your customers really matters. So it's going to be in 2025, we're here. I'm coming from other markets where I can tell you this is not just beginning, it's full swing. We're in the middle of it, and it keeps getting bigger and more every day. So for me to you, we need to think about implementing some of these programs quickly because the customer has choices. For those of you that have a front door, right, and people come in, I call e-commerce the back door, right? There are plenty of customers who don't mind not going into a physical location. That's a competition. So how do you communicate with your customers to compete? Okay? So let's talk about understanding the market. And this will help you in all of the things that you have to do for your business, right? So knowing who your customers are can help you create programs. So let's talk about what they are, right? First thing we know about your customer is they come to you, they buy a specific product. Maybe they come in once a week, once a month, right? So we know what they're buying. But we also can find out things like we can see physically their age. So we know if you have a store, we know how old they are. We know pretty good generally where they live, the general trading area, the neighborhood that they live in, right? We know how much they spend with us every time they come in. We know the brands that they buy. All of those things we should put together to create loyalty programs so we can get them coming back again and again. For me, perfect example, I travel a lot. I happen to like Marriott hotels. But they know that. They know how often I stay, how much money I spend, that I go to the gym, that I go to the restaurant, right, in the hotel. And when I get marketing from them, email, text, whatever, those are the things. Your upcoming stay at this hotel has a lovely gym. The restaurant hours are this. They very specifically are targeting me with the information that they know I want to hear. They also, if I happen to book a hotel that doesn't have a gym, they're getting so sophisticated, they now tell me, this hotel has no gym, but we have a partnership with the gym down the street. The restaurant in the hotel closes at 3. It's just for breakfast and lunch. Therefore, there's restaurants around, and here are their names where you can go to dinner. I'm giving you the example for me because you have the ability to do all of that for your customers at your pet store and how you talk to them. Very differently than those of you that have a physical location, e-commerce businesses do this every day because it's the only way they can connect with customers. So where you're general and you open the front door and say hello in a nice way, e-commerce retailers are saying, hi, it's reminding you we have these products, you haven't bought them from us in 2 or 3 weeks, and you're probably running out, and we have them and we can deliver them to you. That's our competition. You can also do the same thing. How many of you have delivery services available that you could deliver products? Okay, so just a couple of you. That's an opportunity. Consumers are busy. You guys are busy, right? So how do we make it easier for our customers? Knowing that they're busy, knowing that they work, knowing that they might not be able to get to your location in a timely manner. How can we be more convenient? That's knowing about them. That's their lifestyle, their shopping habits, right? I can give you an example here. Many young people, right? We know this in Saudi. If they are a millennial who has 2 or 3 cats, who we talked yesterday, the word we used was humanization. So their cat, their pet, is like a small child. They spend money on them. They buy them food. They buy them clothing, right? They buy them the best of everything. And they want high quality, brand name, and eco-friendly products, sustainable. That's a lot of information that you can target. Think of how many of those products you have in the store right now today. And you could talk to that customer if you knew how to reach them and how to target them. And I also, sometimes when I give this talk, I ask you to think about how you hear from people in your life. How do you buy products? What catches your attention? Do stores that you go to, places that you go, target you with marketing? And most of the time, the answer is yes. I only buy online because I own a pet store and I have no time to buy it. I have no time to shop. But yet, you need to implement those for your business as well. Does that make sense? All right, so let's talk about how to do that. I use the term loyalty program, a rewards program. And this is something that is very, very simple to implement and will help people come back. I know a couple of you who were here yesterday, I know that you have them. But essentially, you spend X amount of dollars and you choose what that number is. Is it 100 reals? Is it 500? 1,000? Whatever the number is that you decide. And when they reach that level, you give them something. A credit, a 10 real credit, a gift, free products, something that says thank you. Thank you for coming back again and again. And there are software programs, computer programs out there now that you can use to implement this kind of program. Keep it very simple, so you don't have to do it manually. People have programs where you get a physical card, and now they put it in their wallet. But it keeps them coming back. Pet's birthday. Getting close to your customer, really being part of their community. There is nothing closer than you as a store owner remembering the birthday of the animals and saying happy birthday. In the month of your pet's birthday, come in and get a birthday treat. So that's what you can do with the loyalty program. I mentioned yesterday, the slowest day of the week when there's no traffic and you want to figure out how to change that, you put your loyalty program and you say, today, spend 10, get an extra bonus of 5 or 10. So double points. Now you've turned your slowest day into a good traffic day because people are part of this. It sounds a little bit like a game, and I understand that, but it sort of is. People are motivated by this type of activity today. There is, in the United States, there are gasoline stations that have loyalty programs, grocery stores, pet stores. It's not just the pet store. Women's clothing stores, makeup, cosmetic stores. Everybody has a loyalty program because everybody wants to get a share of the dollar of the customer. So, loyalty program is a great way to do that. The expression I use is stay top of mind. If you can create a loyalty program and get people thinking about your business more often, you win. That's the whole opportunity here. That's how you keep and grow loyalty. So we talked about this yesterday. There's 2 ways to do it. 1, I keep them coming back. That's the word retention. Increase customer retention. Keep them coming back. Those are customers that you already have, right? So we want them to come back again and again. But we can also use it to drive customer engagement, have them come back, have them tell their friends, right? And it is another tool that you can use to introduce your business to new customers. We have a great loyalty program, and when you spend 1,000 real, you get whatever you choose to give away. We have double point days. We have cat birthday, we have birthday gifts. So it works for current customers and it works for getting new customers. And you can see here, I just picked a few, right? Shipping, there's different levels. This is the $1,000 spender. You can have a program that has a lot of tiers to it. You can do a straight dollar program. So there's different ways that you can create this loyalty program. But the key there is it gets them coming back. And the word engagement keeps them interested, keeps your pet business top of mind, which is the key, right? So again, sometimes this is literally a flyer from a store, and this is what they say. Come join our loyalty program, and here's the flyer. Here's the information on all the wonderful things that you will get. So when you're going to set up your program, you can use this. Put your store name, put your store logo there, right? And all these things. Pretty straightforward, but trying to give you easy tools to implement. Okay? So now let's talk about reviews. And a review program, my friend Elizabeth over there, do you guys have a review program? Okay, well there we go. There's something they still can do, okay. So, keeping customers loyal. Everybody here, if I ask you, do your customers like your business? Yes? Your customers like your store? Do they tell you in person when they're there that they like what you have, they like the products that you sell, right? We need to take that information and get them to write a review somewhere at on your Google listing, on your Facebook page, on your Instagram, on your website, on your LinkedIn. Anywhere you communicate with customers, you can gather reviews. Because what is happening is that customers, that community that I mentioned, that word community, people stick together. Like a neighborhood, like friends, like family. I am a cat owner who has a specific breed of cat, and this store sells the greatest products for my cat. That's what a review can do for you. You can generate lots of vision to your business online, where people searching for a new business, where people walking by, going to a website. You can get information about your business to other people. But here's the thing. It works really well because it's not you. Do you know the word brag? When you talk about yourself and you just boast and you say, I'm really good at something, right? It's not you talking about how good your business is. It's your customers, which is the powerful tool. Other like-minded people who have pets, who are very happy with the goods and services you provide, telling other customers, you should shop here. This is a great place. They have great products. The salespeople know about the products. They're very knowledgeable. The prices are great. The store is beautifully set up. They deliver to me. I mean, I'm picking all the things, right, that you could write a nice review about. Their store hours are great. They always, always give my cat a treat. And anybody who reads those reviews can identify I am so happy to hear that there is a store out there that gives treats. My cat is my child. I want that to be the case. I'm desperate for information. I'm happy to hear that there's a store out there, a business out there that shares information. Okay? So think of it as digital word of mouth. Right? We give word of mouth. Again, I'm old. I know. I'm old enough to say, I have a brand new dog or a cat. I need a pet store. That's how it probably still works that way sometimes. But the next piece is, I don't ask somebody, I go online and I search the internet for information and I look for reviews. Because it's called self-select. I look for reviews of people who talk like me, who sound like me. Let me give you an example. I travel. Remember I told you about Marriott hotels? When I go to look for a hotel in a city that I've never been, and I'm booking a hotel room, I look for reviews. I used to live in New York City. I had a 50 square meter apartment. Yeah, exactly. It's very small. So when I see a hotel room review and somebody says, this room is too small, the bathroom's too small, that person is not me, right? I lived in a small place. If a person says, the internet is very strong, the breakfast is delicious, I can get to the hotel by public transportation, those are the reviews that I stick to, because that's me. Your pet business is the same. Take the products that you sell, the information that you share, your customers are searching for pet stores the same way. So I give you the example of me for you to understand. That's called self-selecting. When somebody says the room is small and the bathroom, doesn't have a mirror that it looks good, that doesn't matter to me. Okay? It's the same for your pet business. So digital word of mouth, we need to help get it out there. And you need to ask your customers to write reviews. Thank you for shopping. We appreciate you being here. Would you mind writing a review so that we can share information? Look what happens when the facts are, consumers trust online reviews as much as in-person recommendation. They go to social networking sites to read reviews, right? And here's the key, which is what you want. Online reviews influence buying. And this may be not where you are here in Saudi Arabia, but trust me, you are getting there. You will get there. Consumers, trust and transparency is in person in some cases, and it will become more digital. So reviews will help get your business loyalty. Okay? We talked about social media yesterday. I just want to remind you that first slide, right? Putting information out in a bunch of different places so that your customers can find it is what we're talking about with social media. For you, it should not matter if your customer finds you on LinkedIn, TikTok, WhatsApp, Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram. Your job is to put content in the places that you think your customers are most regularly, and they will find you there. Your customers will find you there. You don't create a YouTube video and say, you can. We just posted a new video about product information about this new brand we're carrying. We just put a new video together about how to trim your cat's nails using the scissors we have in our store, right? We have a new video about some information about the content of new food. So you will place all those videos out there. And if I'm a customer that likes video, I'll find your videos. If I'm a customer that likes to read, I'll read your Facebook post. I'll read your, news, I'll read your website with information. Okay? So you want to put information out for your community, ask them questions, give them information, and ask them to share pictures and videos. Everybody here knows we're in the pet business. I say we have the best business out there because the two cutest things to market are what? Babies and pets, right? Everybody smiles when they see a baby or a pet. We're in that business. So we have really good models, right? We have people that we can, we have pets that we can take pictures of, that we can take video of. We can ask our customers to take videos of and send them to us. So, and for those of you, I see a couple of the brands out here. Let me say that is one thing that you can do for your customers, create content, because they just don't have enough time to create their own content. So if you can create those videos and posts, you will win favor and probably orders. So if you can use video, that's great, but obviously you can share lots of information with your customers. And that's why I started the first question. More of you raised your hands today than yesterday, so that's progress. Customer service as a social media as a selling tool, right? Customers, not your businesses, but if everybody ever complains, that's what you want to focus on. Answer people's questions. If they have a comment, if they had a bad experience, you want to deal with it quickly and in real time, right? So that you don't let it go too far. Just like if somebody walks into your store, just seeing what time it is here. Let's see. Okay, we're good. You don't want to leave bad impression out there, right? So you got to respond to reviews. You can issue refunds, provide information to people, share experiences, okay? And this is just an example, right? This is Starbucks. They had a bad experience. Somebody went to a store and had a bad experience. That is a big multinational brand that makes you feel like you're important by responding back to you on social media. Imagine you responding back to your customers as a local business. It's very, very powerful. And again, leads to connecting, loyalty. The goal here for all of you, I know, is you want to do sales, you want to sell products, and you want the customers to be happy. You want their pets to be healthy, right? All the products that you carry. So if the answer, or if what I'm saying to you is simply put, the stuff that you think in your brain, you want customers to be happy, you want them to come back and buy from you. These are the tools to get them back more regularly. So it's not that you don't want this, or it's just maybe a new way of thinking about doing it. I promise you, from a consumer mindset and consumer behavior, these are where people are going. The millennials and Gen Zs who are on their phone, should we go with 20 hours a day? No, maybe 16. How about that, right? It is this tool. I'm so old, I use the word phone. It's not even a phone, right? They don't even make calls. It's text, it's, Snapchats, it's whatever. So it's a connecting to the world, right? So that's why I'm bringing it up. How do we digitally connect with our customers? That's where they are. That's why we want to be there. So, don't know, any of you here using TikTok for their business? Yep. So, I am here to tell you that I work with retailers and have in the pet business for 20 years. My job, as far as I see it, is to understand where the market is and to figure out if all these new tools will help your business do more business, right? I want to know. So in my mind, you're very busy. You don't have time to do everything. So I'm not going to bring you something until I know that it's proven and that it works. So 2-3 years ago, TikTok was around, but if you remember, right, they were doing the videos, the dance videos during COVID. So it wasn't a tool to make money for retail businesses. It is now a tool for businesses to make money. And I was having a conversation last night with somebody talking about Snapchat. There is less revenue being generated from Snapchat, but major brands are still using it to get people's attention, right? So it's a bit more of a conversion. But I bring up TikTok to say to you, there are platforms out there. The word is social commerce. Business is being done via social media websites. TikTok absolutely makes it easy for you to make videos, and then you can share them to your Instagram, you can share them to your Facebook, you can share them to your LinkedIn, so they can go to a lot of different places. It's almost just, if you think of it like a photo or video repository, editor, and then you can just send them from there. It works. The audience stays for hours and hours. I don't have enough time. I don't know about you guys, but the younger, right, they make the time. So just something to think about. Lots of active users. The age group, 20 to 29, those are the audience that are having pets, spending money. Those are the high-end customers, the premium customers who are treating their pets, their cats, their dogs, their birds like their family. And they are very loyal to them, and they will spend a lot of money on them. So that's another reason to kind of figure out where your customers are. And very simply, I'm using the names of all of these social media tools and all these other marketing tools. Somebody yesterday said they had a website. What do you do with your website? How do you get people to go to your website? Start there. Create a way to get people going. Ask your customers, especially the younger ones, how are you buying from brands today? How are you finding stores? And let's just be there. We talked a little bit about subscription tools as a revenue tool. It is a huge, huge, powerful loyalty tool. It is simple to set up. This happens to be a cat loyalty or cat subscription in North America, and they send some food, some treats, and a toy every month, one time per month. Now, it's a subscription, and you pay. You can give it as a gift. But if you wanted to do something like that, easy to do, as a fun thing, you could set up a subscription for food, cans of food, dry food every month, right? Treats. You could add a toy in there. And the answer is you, as the pet store owner, have everything the customer needs, right, in the box to keep the pet happy. Maybe during certain times of the year, supplements go in there because it's when they're not healthy. In the summer, because it's hot, right? What do you need to do? Like keep them cool, keep them watered. So, a subscription box, very popular now in North America from two perspectives. Function, which is the food, and frivolity or fun. So, really fun way to think about growing your business. And again, this is great for brick and mortar. This is great for e-commerce. I have a customer who does a mystery box and essentially takes all of the old products. I do inventory planning for a lot of pet stores. And she takes the products that I'm saying you have too many of, and she puts them in her mystery box and puts a price on it, usually $25 US, $40 US, depending on. She mixes it up to see which ones get. And the customers buy them like crazy because it's a surprise. The value is $100, but they only pay $25. So it's the fun piece. So subscription boxes, something to think about. And now we're getting into sort of what I'd call next level. Your customers, we talked about being on this device all the time. How does your store look as it relates to a customer that is very tech savvy? Could you add some influences like interactive displays, like mobile integration, right? And that would be a mobile app, visual effects, QR codes to get information. Another way to say, we understand that you use technology, and so do we. We're gonna make it easier for you to get information from our store. This is a real, and I just happened to notice, I didn't mean this, but Pro Plan was in here, right? This happens to be, so explore products, ask about our ingredients. Those are displays that they are putting in stores today, right? Food delivery service. So you can do an app and have delivery. All right? So, how do we summarize what we do, right? Loyal customers are brand champions, right? They want the brands that you have. Your job is to tell them why you carry these brands, why it's important, to make sure that you know the brands they buy, and to make sure to make it easier for them to buy them, right? Your loyal customers will forgive you for making a mistake. This is what happens. When you do online reviews and ask people to write reviews, and somebody had a bad experience with your store, not your stores, it's the other ones. But if that happened, when you have loyal customers, they will defend you. They will say, that is not true, meaning they'll write back, right? Because they have a different reaction to you. They know that you're so good. So by getting lots of 5-star reviews, the 1-star review looks out of place. They will forgive you. You had a bad day, it's fine. I'm a 5-star person, 1-star review, you know what I mean? I had one bad experience, or you didn't have a product I needed today. Very different. That builds loyalty, right? Loyal customers, we all want new customers. You know, I know you're all growing and you're meeting new customers, but one loyal customer, easier to market to, cheaper to market to. They already know what you have. And then the other thing is, they tell 2 friends. They post on social media, picture, they tag you, right? We've all been on, I don't know if you guys have seen on LinkedIn this week, there's lots of posts on LinkedIn, and I'm tagging pet products, they're tagging me. You guys are liking them. Like, we want to tag your stores. Talk to me afterwards. Give me your card. Let me go look at your stores. I'll tag yours too. All right? They spend more money and they're easier to sell to. And those are the key, right? You want to be in business. You want to stay in business. You want to grow your business. Loyalty is the key. And you, like I said, you all do it. It's a question of now communicating it in a bunch of new ways. All right? And that's, I think I was pretty much on time today. Anybody have any questions? I say thank you for being here. Here's what I'm going to notice. From the first time I met you yesterday to today, I feel very good. I got a lot of head shaking today. I like that. That's a good sign, right? Can I get a thumbs up? Nice. Nice. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Miss Lynn Switanowski. نذكر السادة الحضور بوجود سماعات للترجمة بالخلف، وأيضا أي أحد يغادر لا ينسى يأخذ البوكس الهدية المقدم من ملتقى الأعمال. مساء الخير مرة أخرى. اليوم سوف نتعمق في موضوع مهم لجميع محبي القطط ومربيها. موضوع اليوم عن كيفية خلق بيئة محفزة ومثالية للقطط. في هذه الجلسة سنستكشف كيفية تحسين مكان عيش القطط وتعزيز رفاهيتهم البدنية والعقلية. يسعدنا أن يكون معنا الدكتور غونسالو بيريرا ليستعرض لنا خبرته الواسعة في هذا الموضوع. نرجو منكم الترحيب بالدكتور غونسالو بيريرا.
No, it's just pressing. So, good afternoon, everyone. Good to see some faces from yesterday as well. So, thanks for being back. So, today I'm bringing a continuation from yesterday. So, yesterday I, generally speaking, spoke about everything that we should know about cats. And today we're going to apply what we learn into their environment. Okay? Is it working, the computer? Is it working? Questions. So I made it. Okay, there we go. Thank you so much. So how to create something good, cat-friendly, we need to understand the basis that we started yesterday. So it's a continuation, as I said. And the first thing it's not working. I can dance, I can sing, but not moving. Shall I try? Yes. Okay, there we go. Oh my God, now moved too fast. So the first thing that I said yesterday, and I'm going to repeat as well, is that behavior problems are one of the main causes for euthanasia, for relinquishment and abandonment. So we know from many studies that it's a problem all over the world, and one of the main reasons is that the animal is not living in an adequate environment. So everything is about the animal perspective, and we need to make sure, as I said yesterday, that we are thinking as a cat. Okay? We are thinking and putting ourselves in the shoes, in the paws of the animal, and that's the only way that we can create something interesting. So we must remember that cats are obligated, in this case, they are forced to share their environment with other cats, with people, sometimes with cats and dogs, and this is something very scary for some of them. Even living with people can be a nightmare, as we saw yesterday. Okay? Even just living with us can be a nightmare. So the first thing that we need to understand is that there are some needs in their behavior that they definitely need to express. Otherwise, they are just surviving. They are not having pleasure in their life. Okay? Because we give them good food, yes, but we know that apart from a good food, it's a need for them also to hunt. For instance, even if you give the best premium diet, cats continue hunting. So it's very important, as well as a retailer, that we make sure that we are passing the correct information. Okay, and of course, cats they need free access whenever they need something. Okay, and this is another reality that we need to understand. And especially in houses with several cats, in multi-cat households, all the things are very, very badly interpreted by the caregiver. The caregiver, for instance, if he sees all the cats eating together, they take it for granted that the cats are happy, the cats are okay. But for those that were here yesterday, that have been here yesterday, if you look to all these cats, for instance, here, this cat, can you see the angle of their ears? So it's flattened. For those that were here yesterday, this is a main sign that indeed the cat is not okay. At least he is in a conflict moment that we need to understand why. But they are eating all together, of course, because they need to eat, okay? But it doesn't mean that they are stress-free, okay? And we're going to see during this lecture what can we do to decrease the anxiety. For instance, in this situation, if we ask the caregiver how many litter trays you have for your cats, and the caregiver is going to tell you, I have 2. Okay, but imagine that one of the cats is sitting in the door, and then Tanya needs to come to use the toilet, and I'm sitting here. Immediately, Tanya, as another cat, is going to try to avoid conflict with me and probably would move and try to pee in another place because I don't want confrontation. And this is the reality for cats. Cats are avoiding conflict. And when they have no way to avoid the conflict, then the tension is increasing and then they can start fighting as well. Okay? So if you look here, you can see, oh, this is an amazing gym. Yes, it's an amazing gym. But you have 2 cats, and this one below, underneath, he's not comfortable. And you can see, of course, he is with the collar, and he's not happy at all. But also in a conflict, as we're going to see later on, when cats are anxious, they try to find higher places because in higher levels they can control all the territory. Okay? So it's something very good, but here there is a clear conflict. So what can we do? Have 2 gyms, 1 gym to each cat. Okay? And this would decrease their anxiety and their stress. Okay? So usually the environment where the cat or the kitten is living is the cause for stress, okay? And remember that the needs of a kitten are totally different from the needs of a senior cat. They have different needs in their environment, okay? And at the same time, we have situations where there are lack of stimulation and other houses where everything is new every single day. And as I said yesterday, cats are control freak. And we're going, every time that we make changes in their environment, careful, because we can producing lots of stress and lots of behavior problems as well. Okay? So the environment and the stimulation that we're giving in the environment can be also a problem. Okay? And always we need to adapt the environment to the cat. And they are so sensitive with their environment that sometimes I already had cases where the caregivers only moved the sofa from one place to another one, and that was enough for one of the cats in the house start peeing and marking the territory. Okay? They are very sensible to every changes in their environment. Okay? So, usually, the environment and the stimulation is what we are using both to treat the behavior problem and to prevent behavior problems. So environment is very important in the animal perspective. When we are treating an animal with a behavior problem, many times we are going to use medication. Sometimes we need to use anxiolytic medication. We are going to use sometimes, in some cases, nutritional supplementation. I could be speaking about nutraceuticals for half an hour, okay, but I have not that time. But they can be very useful. But what is really going to treat the animal is the two more important things. One is training, is what we call behavior modification, and the other one is treating the environment. And we're going to treat the environment because it's the way to change the animal perspective. Was this clear? Yeah? Are you with me? Yes. Thumbs up. Well done. So, what are we going to do? In the past, we called these environmental enrichment. Nowadays, we are not calling anymore enrichment because, in fact, it's not giving luxury to the animal. It's giving the minimum conditions for them to survive and have quality of life. So, nowadays, we are calling more environmental stimulation, environmental management, and this was brought from the zoo. This concept of enrichment was brought from zoo animals, and nowadays we are applying to any others. And usually we split them in 5 types of environmental enrichment: social, cognitive, physical, sensorial, and feeding. And many times we are going to combine them because they complement each other. So for instance, if you want to train a cat, you need to use treats, very good quality treats, because cats are very clever. They want lobster. They don't want something. No, they want something good. Okay? They are very good clients and difficult clients. So we need to combine everything that we are doing in terms of stimulation. And this is a consideration that we need to understand. I'm going to split them just to help us to get the main ideas, but they are generally combined. Okay? So, first, social. We saw yesterday, cats are not independent. Cats, they depend on themselves, but they are social. Sometimes they create relations with other cats. Sometimes they can create relation with a rat. Sometimes they create relations with a dog. Okay? So we need to understand, and you know, cats, and I'm involved in a study to see if cats suffer of grief as well as dogs. We already know that dogs suffer from grief. When they lose one member from their group, they suffer. And what we are finding is that cats, they suffer as well. Okay? And depending on the relations that they have with each other. So, and what about the relation with human beings? This is something very important. And usually, what I explain is that we need to create positive interactions with cats. How do we do this? For instance, combing could be something very important for cats. Yes, but usually this is a personal thing that each cat does to himself. Usually it's not something that somebody comes to do on me, except, as we saw yesterday, if we are from the same social group, okay? So, first thing that we need to do is to make sure that cats like the comb and make a positive association between the comb and the caregiver. And the other thing that I already told you yesterday, and we're going to see here a clip, a very short clip, where we're going to see a cat training the caregiver. So, as you see here, the cat is grabbing attention and the caregiver is giving the attention that he's willing to. Okay, so he's rubbing, and now she's trying to pay attention back to the computer. Can you see? Oh, sorry. Okay, can you see his expression? And he's going back to repeat and repeat this behavior because he's receiving positive reinforcement. Okay? So in fact, this cat, look his expression. I want more. And she received. Okay? So this is the relation, and in this case, we can see the cat training the caregiver. I would like to be the opposite, but many times it's cats training people. Okay? So what about why cats are attacking people? Many times because we don't know how to play with cats. Many of my caregivers, they use their hands or their feet to play with cats. Oh, they are kittens, there's no problem, it doesn't hurt. But soon, this little kitten will be a 5 kilos cat. And this will be a problem because the cat is learning to hunt your hands, your feet. And this becomes a huge problem. And then later on, this becomes a reason to relinquish the animal. So it's very important that since the beginning, we are doing prevention and careful on the ways that we are promoting playing and hunting for the cat. Okay? Okay. I'm trying. Have I? No. 1 second. They are doing something over there. Yes? No. I'm sorry. No, it's not okay. Because my time is passing. Shall I use another one? I have my personal one here. If you want, I can use mine. Okay, so far, any question, any comment? I would love to interact more with you while we solve this problem. Yes, thank you, Matt.
Does it become too late? Like, how do you fix it once it's already...
Okay, so I'm going to repeat the question. The question is, if you miss the proper period to prevent the behavioral issue, if we would have another chance to train the cat, and the answer is yes. Yes, we usually we are not going to solve everything in their perspective, but we can do lots of things, and training is something very important. We have many ways to train cats, and this will be, thank you so much, and this will be very, very useful to help them solving even their mental problems. Okay? Yeah. So socialization is about living with others, but also about training, as we've been speaking. There are many advantages of training cats, and the first of all is a way to keep them stimulated. The other one is that promote, if you're using adequate training, it will promote and increase the relation between cats and humans. And this is something very, very useful. They become more friendly, more social, and of course, Matt is a way to solve behavior problems as well. So training a cat is a problem. Okay, sometimes is because they need very high motivation, okay? If you're giving just a kibble, they look at you and they say, oh, I can do it by myself. So there's no need to, I need to have motivation. And this is something very important. And something that promotes motivation today cannot promote motivation anymore on the following day. So something very important for us is using irrefutable rewards. And there are different rewards that we usually use. We focus very much on food because food is important for us, right? I believe that all of us are getting hungry, right? So food is very important. But there are other positive reinforcement that we can use as well. Social, and in cats, play. Play is a very important reinforcer that we can use. And the majority of cats, they work much more for playing than for trophics, than for food, okay? So we need to understand what motivates the cat to work. And this is the main rule. What motivates the cat, okay? So, in this... Okay, no worries, no worries.
Hey guys, today I'm going
Okay,
to be
thank you.
doing cat training.
In this
with
video,
Gonçalo.
we are going to see this colleague,
I'm using pretty much the
Alex.
same
He's
concept with this cat.
training these
I
two
don't
cats.
think that animal training is
I
necessary.
would use a different set. I wouldn't train two cats at the same time, but we have some cats that when we separate one from each other, they cannot focus, okay? So in this case, he's training both together, as you can see.
Hey guys, Simon, Jack.
You see that the level, this one is getting a bit more confused. He's not understanding, and you see the tail moving, and the tail is saying, I'm not understanding everything. Can you see a conflict? Grooming. Okay, and now this one is a bit later than this one, but even so, to keep the attention of the cat, we need always to give the treat. Always give the positive reinforcement. Otherwise, you lose your client. Okay? This one, as you see the tail once again. He's getting a bit confused, but he's always receiving a treat. So the main goal of these is not having a circus cat, is to give them stimulation to their brain. And this is something important for any cat, okay? What else? This is already cognitive stimulation. This is already cognitive enrichment. So we are already using and combining positive interaction with cognitive stimulation. And in fact, there are many, many different toys in the market. I'm not choosing one specific brand because there are many, many, many brands. But in fact, what I want with all these toys is to create some teasers, some brain teasers that make the cat think and solve problems. And this is something very, very important, once again, for their brains. Once again, we use training. There are toys with movement. For those that were here yesterday, you remember that I mentioned that movement is something very important for cats to grab attention. If there is no movement, it doesn't matter, okay? So, what about this iPad stuff? Does anyone already use these in the room? Yes, okay, a couple of you. Okay, I'm going to tell you, this can be very frustrating, okay, for a cat. Exactly as these. So if I do these with a laser pointer for a cat, many cats, they get very interested in grab the light. But they try to grab, they try to hunt, and they never hunt something. So if you're using this type of applications, or if you're using laser pointer, time to time you need to drop a treat on the floor to make sure that time to time they receive something, which means they continue interested and they don't get frustrated. Remember, if you get a frustrated animal, first of all, he can give up. Secondly, he can have secondary behaviors, including aggressive manifestations, okay? So we never want to frustrate an animal, otherwise we can bring other problems. This is not me, right? No. Okay, so what else can we use? As we saw yesterday, we have... No, this is me. It's my phone, right? No, it's outside. Okay. So what we need to have in mind, cats also use their paws. They use their paws to take food. So we can have toys for them to take out the food, exactly as you see here. We have food dispensers, and these can be very useful. Are we going to use no more any type of bowls? Okay, we're going to use their feeding stations, but we can put something more tasty in these food dispensers in order for them to work to get those treats. And this is something very important, okay? Cognitive play is very important. Nevertheless, many times we go to a shop and we buy the most fancy one, the most expensive one, and it doesn't work. Why? Because many times it's too difficult. They don't know how to read the instructions, okay? So when you want to introduce something in the environment, we should always start by something easy for them. Easy to make sure that you grab their attention, and then slowly you increase the difficulties, okay? This is a game that I do many times for senior cats. On senior cats, we want easy stuff to happen, but also to stimulate their mind. And I like this game, the shell game. Probably the cat is using the smelling as well. I don't care. But you see, she's paying attention. Okay, so what we are doing, and this is already a repetition, the cat is looking for the key ball inside, and it's a memory game, very important. Another thing, sometimes I do many times home visits, so when I have a case, I need to visit the house, I need to see the environment, and when I arrive in certain houses, I see 30 toys around the house. Okay, that's fine. That's very good to have 30 toys. But if you have all the toys at the same time, it loses interest. Okay, so what shall we do? There's always one or two toys that they are the favorite ones, and those toys should always be there. And then we do rotation. It's exactly as we do with kids. If everything is available always there, it loses interest. Okay? And then in terms of physical stimulation, what do we need in terms of physical? We need something similar to the wild. Okay, that would be awesome to have trees at home. But how many of our clients, caregivers, would have trees at home? Probably none. Sometimes people think, we should have a very big house to have all my cats. Sometimes it's not a question of size. If we look to psychological space, for instance, if we look to this house and if we compare to this house, of course, in our perspective, which one do you prefer? The first or the second? Don't destroy the game. The second as well. The first. How many of you prefer the first? Okay, the majority. Okay, I'm sorry, girls. The first. But in a cat's perspective, and probably you are thinking as a cat, the second choice is much interesting because they can throw things down, they can jump, they can hide, it's much more interesting in their perspective, okay? It's about three-dimensionality. They live in a three-dimensional world, so they don't live only on the floor. We can create many areas, and this three-dimensionality is something very important. But when we start creating things, sometimes they look like funny, but once again we have the same problem. If we have this cat inside and the other one up, this doesn't work. It can be a point of stress for them, a moment of tension that we should avoid. So once again, we need to make sure it's not simply putting shelves over there. We need to think again in cat's perspective, in cat's vision, okay? Once again, the gyms that I've mentioned, they can be points of tension if they are not well placed, if they don't have enough high places to jump. This can become a tension and later can become conflict between them. Sometimes I see very strange things when I go to visit the houses, okay? And sometimes I see resource integration. What does it mean? So let's imagine, oh, sorry. This one underneath is the litter tray, okay? So imagine that there are two cats. One is peeing inside and the other one is outside. If I want to leave the toilet, the cat up starts playing with my head. Probably I will run away, and as a cat, I would avoid going back to this toilet. Okay? And there are many, I could be speaking 1 hour about toilets, okay? I love to speak about toilets because it's very important for any of us, and it's also very important for cats. But not today. Okay? External stimuli can be very important. Yes, external stimuli can be very important. They go to the window and they see what is happening outside. But sometimes this can be a problem as well, because they can see other cats from exterior. Okay, and you already told me yesterday that you have many stray cats. I saw today in Riyadh streets, there are some cats in the streets. So if one cat is in the window seeing the strays, he can be aroused. And this can be the starting of marking with urine, for instance. Sometimes some birds, they stay in at the window, some cats, they stay in the window to see some birds. And this can be very frustrating as well, because my prey is outside and I'm here. Okay, so once again, sometimes we need to create curtains in order that they don't see exterior. Depends on the cats. I'm just giving tips, and then each cat is a cat, each case is a case. Okay, what else? External access. In many European countries, we see balconies, fenced balconies, in order for them not to jump. But in the same European countries, we can see situations like this. Oh my God, this is scary for me, because they can fall down. And this is a huge problem, okay? Safe zone. All cats, they need to have an area in the house where they can hide, okay? Where they can sleep. Nobody goes there. Respecting the meditation moment of cats, it's very important. And sometimes during the day, cats need to hide. And respecting this is very important. Another detail that I already mentioned, and I'm going to repeat, is higher places. Not everyone can see, but here on the left, we have a cat in a higher spot, because this cat, that was the spot where, when every time that he felt threatened, it was the place that he felt okay, I'm fine here. Okay? Sometimes we need to put a box over there in order that they can get in and feel a bit cozy. Okay? So, all cats needs a toilet like ours. How many of us would like to use a toilet like this? No. There are moments that are private, right? So we don't want to share these moments with nobody. They are ours. And the same is happening with cats. Their toilet is their toilet. In how many houses we have cats sharing the toilets? Okay, and this can be a problem as well. On the left, you have another situation of a cat. Imagine this one is peeing inside, and comes another one to scratch his paws. This is very scary. Once again, thinking in the cat's perspective, this can become a huge problem. Okay, thinking in their perspective. So what are usually the guidance that I give for people in terms of toilet? Once again, I could be speaking about many more things. Okay, 1 hour just to speak about toilets. But in fact, usually what we ask is non-scented litter, no smell in the litter. Okay, we need a calm location, far from the food, and hygiene. Hygiene. They are always bare feet and they need to get in the toilet, dig, and hygiene is very, very important. Okay? Scratching posts. Scratching posts. as we saw yesterday, cats, they need to scratch. It's a form of marking. It's something very important in their perspective. Okay? But the majority of scratching posts, they are not interesting for them. The sofa is much more interesting. And there are many reasons for that. But one simple one is that the scratching post usually is hidden. It's not near the place that they need to scratch and leave marks and smells. Okay? The scratching posts that we are using, usually they are vertical, but they are too small. We need scratching posts the same size of a cat fully stretched from the top of his toe to the other toe, which means that if we have a standing up cat, usually they can have easily 100 centimeters, 120 centimeters. How many scratching posts do you find in the market that could be good for one adult cat? The majority of scratching posts that we find on the market, they are for small kittens. Okay? So many times I put my caregivers preparing the scratching posts. It's very interesting when you have caregivers that they are good on bricolage, on preparing things. They do very, very interesting things. Sensory stimulation is very important. We would use the different smells, different tastes, I already mentioned the laser point. Music for cats. Okay. I have a problem with these. There are no enough scientific evidences that this is useful for them, okay? But sometimes if it is useful for the caregivers, if we relax the caregiver, then we will have a compensation in the animal behavior as well, okay? Sometimes I also use white noises to help hiding noises from outside. Okay, so sometimes there are many things that we can use. In terms of smells, careful. And Jennifer and myself, we were speaking about smells 2 days ago. Time flies. And in fact, when we feel a smell, as I said yesterday, they feel 1,000 stronger than ourselves. And if it is good for us, it doesn't mean that it's good for the dog or good for the cat. And remember, for instance, every time that you put a perfume in the environment, you can even start creating a response, internal response on the cat or on the dog, okay? So, we need to respect the pheromones as well, and this is something very important. We already spoke about pheromones yesterday, and sometimes they need to leave this mark clearly. When we go to feeding station is very important. We remember that they are solitary hunters. They hunt several times per day. They are perfect nutritionists. They eat small quantities several times per day. They are perfect. So why do they get fat? For many reasons. I would need another hour to speak about that, but basically one of the reasons is related with stress. There is an increase of cortisol, and cortisol is an hormone that increases the appetite, okay? So that's the reason why many of us, when we get stressed, we have increase of appetite. We have appetite for chocolate. I'm stressed, I need chocolate. So it's a body reaction and lots of hormones happening. But once again, it's not common, it's not normal for them to share food. They don't share food, as we saw yesterday. So basically, these types of feeding posts, they don't work. Can you see? They are eating both there, but they are not relaxed. Can you see their ears? Can you see them avoiding the other, which means that they are not okay. I'm eating because I need to eat. It's perfect to me. If you look to all these cats, once again, none of them is relaxed. And many times if you ask these people how many feeding stations you have, the person is going to tell you, I have 1 per cat, or even more than 1 per cat. But this doesn't work. So in the past we were using the rule n plus 1, which was the number of cats plus 1 for all resources. So I have 3 cats, I need 4 feeding stations, I need 4 water stations, I need 4 toilets. But nowadays, we are saying something different. We should think about location plus 1. Because as I said at the beginning, if I have 2 toilets here, it's the same as having a big one. One big one. It doesn't work in their perspective, okay? Drinking posts. Drinking is also very important. As Urška said yesterday, their ancestrals, they come from the desert and they drink a small quantity of water, and when we're giving them dry food, this becomes a huge problem for their health. So drinking posts are very important. Urška also mentioned the importance of having wide feeding and water stations, and the reason is when they are eating, they cannot touch with the whiskers in the feeding bowl. Okay, so something very interesting also in their perspective. Usually they like water in movement. That's why we invented the fountains. Some cats, they are afraid of the fountains. Okay, so careful, because it doesn't mean it works for all cats. Okay, how many of you like coffee? How many of you like lemonade? Coffee, who likes coffee? Okay. Yeah, the majority of people. Lemonade, some, more for coffee. So imagine that your amazing coffee is served in a plastic glass. Is it the same? No, I'm seeing your faces. No, it's not the same. The same with lemonade, the same with apple juice. And remember, their flavor, their taste is much superior when compared with ours. And that's another reason that we need to test and ask the cat, what do you like? Some of them, as Urška mentioned, they don't like metal ones because when they are drinking or eating, they see their faces reflect on the metal, okay? Some of them, they like it. Some of them like plastic. Some of them like porcelain. Because they are cats. My dears, they are cats. And we need to ask the cat, and I love to play the waiter with cats. I love to ask them, what is your favorite one? So usually, for instance, for toilets, for test of litter trays, I give them 2 choices, and I ask them which you prefer. And how do we see? Because they are using more one toilet than the other, or they are drinking more from one than another. So this is asking. It's what we call in science preference test. Preference tests, okay? So we use the rule for all resources, which is the NL plus 1, where N is the number of cats and L is the location. So we use this rule for all resources. So we call this the resources multiplication rule. And many times in my society, in my country, people have 4, 5, 6 cats. And when I come there, I tell them, okay, you have 4 cats, you need to have 5 litter trays, you need to have 5 water stations, 5 feeding stations. And they tell me, how come? How can I have all these if I'm living in a small flat? And sometimes the question is, who told you to have 4 cats in a small flat? You should be thinking about these before. Oh, but it was impossible. But every time that you put a new cat in the environment, okay, you are saving one life, that's true. But probably you are creating a crazy life for all the other cats. Okay, so it's something very, very important for us. Are we going to do this for any cat? Yes. Single, 2, 3, 4 cats, we need to use always the same rule. Of course, we need to understand that everything can be a stress source. So every time that we are introducing something in the environment, do it gradually. Can create competition between them, can cause lesion. Of course, this is a Photoshop, okay? But I don't, this is an x-ray and then they put it, the Photoshop here. But imagine if it is a big dog, he can swallow things. Even with litter, we have cats that swallow litter. So it's very important to make sure that we understand. And sometimes the problem can get worse, okay? So this is my cat. Okay, this is my beautiful cat. He was adopted in December 2 years ago. He was victim of abuse of people. Somebody tried to kill him with rocks. Yesterday, it was the Christmas Eve that I showed you, and he was there completely knocked out. He was under very severe painkillers because we never thought that he would survive for the following day. But he's already there with us for 2 years. But he hates to take pictures, and I respect his nature. That's why usually I have much more pictures with my dog. Okay? It's much easier, and he's here. This is, oh, sorry. This is Olaf, my dog. He was adopted also with 1 year and a half. He was an aggressive dog with 30 kilos. And it took me like 6 months to start trusting in this dog. I consider that this dog was a dangerous dog with 30 kilos, and he was attacking people, especially men, without any previous sign. And the reason was only because he lost trust in human beings. He was also abused because of the training techniques that were being used to him. And nowadays, he's an amazing, beautiful dog, already with 11 years old. So I'm already starting to, oh my God, it's difficult. So Olaf and I always like to share with you my social media. Very important for us to get in touch. You have Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and I'm more than happy to receive any questions. And Instagram is very easy to leave messages, but of course, I'm here, and I prefer always live and real friends. Thank you so much for having me here. It was amazing to join you during this congress, this show, and I'm very, 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 very thankful for this invitation and sharing these 2 lectures with you. Thank you. Shukran.
Thank you دكتور Gonçalo Pereira. أعزائي الحضور إن شاء الله نستكمل معكم باقي المحاضرات عند الساعة 8:15 بإذن الله. مساكم الله بالخير جميعا. مع استمرار تطور العالم الرقمي أصبح فهمنا أفضل للممارسات والاستراتيجيات المبتكرة في مجال التجارة الإلكترونية أمرا بالغ الأهمية للمنشآت التي تسعى إلى التطور والازدهار والتنافس في قطاع الحيوانات الأليفة. في هذه الجلسة سنكتشف العناصر والأدوات الرئيسية التي تساهم في نجاح التجارة الإلكترونية. يسرنا أن نستضيف اليوم العقل المبدع صاحب وكالة بيت إنجن ماركتينج، وهي وكالة تسويق رقمية متخصصة لدعم منشآت قطاع الحيوانات الأليفة، لها إسهامات عديدة في تحقيق النمو ومعالجة التحديات ورفع الوعي بالعلامات التجارية في قطاع الحيوانات الأليفة. من خلال خبرته الطويلة في قطاع تجارة التجزئة والعمل على حملات متعددة في التسويق الرقمي، دعونا نتعمق أكثر في عالم التميز في التجارة الإلكترونية. نرجو منكم الترحيب بالسيد مات ألدرش.
Thank you. All right. Thank you for being here. I'm super excited to speak with everybody. Before I get started, I would love it if everyone could just give a round of applause to all the excellent other speakers here. So thank you to all the fantastic speakers that are at this event, and a round of applause as well for Pet Products Trading Company for putting this on. So thank you. All right, today we are going to be covering some practical steps to grow your pet retail business online. So it's going to get pretty tactical, very specific information that I'd like to deliver today. So let's get into it. So I always like to start with an agenda, okay? Brief introduction to myself, kind of what we're doing here. Go over the opportunity based on the data in the Saudi pet market. And then we're going to get into some of that more tactical information, right? Driving traffic and sales with social commerce specifically, optimizing your e-commerce presence, building customer loyalty. A lot of this stuff should be familiar at this point today. Then we're going to talk about future-proofing your business, review some key takeaways, and I should have some time for questions and answers at the end. I'm also going to provide at the end a QR code so that everybody can download these slides. So if you want to get this information later, QR code at the end, all you have to do is scan it and it'll take you to my website. All right, so very brief introduction to myself. I started Pet Engine Marketing in 2018. We're a digital marketing agency focused on working with pet businesses. I'm also a co-founder of the Pet Industry Network. That's that big postcard you guys have on your chairs. The Pet Industry Network I founded with my co-founder in 2022, and it is a collective of business-to-business service providers aimed at helping pet businesses. Our signature event is actually next month, the PIN Growth Summit. There is a free ticket as well as a VIP version if you guys would like to attend. Our biggest goal with the PIN Growth Summit is providing education like this at no cost. So the general admission ticket is free, and I would love to have you guys there. I think it'd be very beneficial. So I actually started my career working in a brick-and-mortar pet retail store in 2007. I graduated from college shortly after that and worked at a few marketing agencies. But my very first job was exposure to brick-and-mortar pet retail. So a lot of businesses like the ones that we toured yesterday or like the ones that you guys own as well. So things have changed a ton for retailers and the pet industry as a whole since 2007. I started my business in 2018, and we've basically been working with pet businesses across the world for, 7 years now. What we do is we provide basically measurable growth for pet businesses. We do that in a variety of different ways, mostly through services like social media, search engine optimization, paid ads, email marketing, strategy, reporting. So we're really a done-for-you marketing agency focused on working with primarily brick-and-mortar pet businesses. So definitely been working with retail kind of since 2007, which would have put me at about 15 or 16 years old. So I've been in and around the pet industry for quite some time. Okay, so let's get into the fun stuff today. I really don't like talking about myself a whole lot, so I'm really glad we got past that first part. First thing I want to cover is the opportunity that is showing itself in the data in the Saudi pet industry. So right here, you're looking at 243 million. That's the expected revenue of just the pet food market in Saudi Arabia in 2024. That's anticipated to grow by 3.10% annually. And you can see by 2029, this is going to be a pretty significant sized industry, and that's just pet food. We're not even talking about pet care, pet accessories, any other sub-industries related to that. Number two, the 1.47 billion, that's the projected market volume of e-commerce in 2024. But I want you to take a look. I don't know if you guys can see down there in the very bottom left, by 2029, they're expecting that to be 24.29 billion. So almost going to increase by 10 to 15x in 5 years. So e-commerce as a trend, massive, right? It's only going to get bigger. 32%, right? That's the e-commerce transaction increase in Saudi Arabia in 2023. This is primarily happening because a very young demographic. Almost 2/3 of the country is under 30 years old, and high mobile penetration. Everybody's on their phones. Lots of digital activity happening among significant portion of the population. 14%, that is the expected annual growth rate in the next 5 years of the e-commerce pet food market. So that's going to grow faster than just the pet food market as a whole, as more and more people adopt to behaviors about like purchasing pet food or pet products online. And then last stat here, certainly last but not least, 94% of the Saudi Arabian population is using social media. Guys, that is a huge, huge amount. Average of 3 hours and 6 minutes spent daily on social media. 94%, again, huge market penetration here when it comes to digital activity and smartphone usage. So where are they spending all that time? I would say a lot of it is going to be on social media, right? So you've got TikTok at the top there, 34 hours, almost 35 hours per month spent on TikTok for this demographic. Now, the thing that I find most interesting, though, is actually the 30% of social media users, the main reason that they are using that platform is to find products to purchase. So they are using it for the same reasons that they would use Google or Amazon, or in the US they would use Chewy, or maybe in Asia they would use Alibaba, right? Discovery and purchase of products is happening on social media. So this is your market. 94% are using the phone, 2/3 of the population is under 30, and the market is expected to pretty much explode in the next 5 years. So where does that leave us, right? Lots of excitement, lots of momentum, lots of opportunity, lots of potential to make a significant amount of money in this market. That doesn't mean it's all profits and no problems for retailers. And actually, retailers here are dealing with a lot of the same difficulties that retailers in the US are dealing with too. Number one, increasing preference for consumers to find premium products or luxury products among pet owners. We're seeing a pretty significant trend where any old pet food or any old toy or any old treat is not enough for pet owners in the US. They want the right treat or the right food, or it's for a specific reason based on what their pet needs. They're willing to spend more to find the right food for their pet. It's not just any old product will do. So that preference makes it a little bit more difficult for retailers to provide the right products and sell those to the right audience. Number two, customer expectations for a seamless shopping experience, those goalposts continue to move. They get further away as technology becomes more integrated, as there's more innovation from a technology side. Customers expect an online purchasing experience to be exactly as seamless and easy and user-friendly as it is offline inside the store. Number three, the barrier to entry into the pet industry has just gotten, it's almost non-existent. I can go on Shopify and set up an online pet retail e-commerce store or drop shipping store in about an hour. Truly. That's really all the time it takes to enter the pet industry and have a business that provides retail products to pet parents and pet owners. So that landscape, it gets more and more crowded. There's more noise, more clutter, becomes more and more difficult for businesses to differentiate themselves, to show customers why they're different, why they should shop at one store rather than another online. It is making things far more difficult when it comes to promoting your unique value propositions and who you are as a business. Last but not least, face-to-face sales, that landscape has completely changed. And the reason for that is the first encounter that people have with your business, it's very rarely face-to-face or on the street with your sign or your window or your storefront. 9 times out of 10, it is on a search engine, or it's on social media, or it's your website. So that very first impression, that is not happening on the street in your store. It's happening online. And people can lose trust in that very, very quickly. If you don't gain their trust in 2 seconds, they're gone. They're shopping elsewhere. So definitely some significant challenges that retailers are going to face, right? But remember, your market is social media using. They are digitally integrated. They are tech savvy. They tend to be younger, and they spend a ton of time on social media, right? That's your market. So how do we reach them? We're going to talk about how you can use social media to generate revenue, okay? So here's your basic kind of marketing funnel. You've got discovery, where a consumer learns about your brand or business. Then you've got engagement, right? They come into contact with your business. They are learning about it. They're considering a purchase. They haven't made any moves yet. And then number 3, they make that purchase, right? They convert. When we use social media, I always like to focus on these 3 C's here. You've got communicate, and you've got connect, and you've got convert. So you have to communicate sort of who you are, and if you're not doing that, that is the top of the funnel, right? It's going to be very difficult to reach new audiences and prospective customers. Once you've communicated that, you can start to connect and build a community with some of these prospects and customers, right? It's like your relationship is progressing to the next level. Number 3, really only once you've made that connection can you convert some of those prospects to sales and leads. And if you try to do these in a different order, I'll tell you what happens, right? Like if you try to get a conversion, it's either going to be very inefficient, very expensive, or there's not going to be enough trust built up for it to work at all. So that's why that really has to come third rather than first. Same thing with the connection, right? Like if you try to connect with prospects or customers before you've communicated anything about your own business, they don't understand why, right? Like they don't have that particular answer on why they should shop with you rather than somewhere else. So that first step, really communicate, and then you can focus on building and connecting with that community, and then converting that community, those prospects, to customers. There are many steps after that first purchase. We're going to dig into that later. At this point on social media, video is a need to have. It is no longer like good to have where you can do it. Like you absolutely have to do it. And that's because these platforms are entirely optimized for short form video. So these are like 7 specific examples that retailers can utilize to create short form content. If you did one of these per day, and I recommend you do 2, 3 maybe, but if you did one of these per day every single week, you really wouldn't spend a ton of time creating video content, but you would have plenty of content throughout the month. And that's a lot of opportunity to get in front of your audience. So a product tutorial, this puts you into a state where you're the authority. You've generated some initial credibility on specific products. That might be food, it might be a feeder, it might be toys, it could be a cat scratching tower, it could be kind of anything that you sell in your store that you can provide some additional information to customers in the form of a video on how they can get the most out of it for their pet. Pet care tips. Almost every retail store that we stopped by here a couple days ago sells grooming tools, whether it's combs or brushes or nail clippers. Those tips or like a walkthrough tutorial, that's really good content to just give people more of an idea of like how they can do it at home. But again, they start to see you as a little bit more credible, you generate some authority, then they're coming to you for more pet care tips, right? Like how do I groom my dog at home? Like what's the best method to cut its hair or wash its fur or its coat? Day in the life, this is some behind the scenes content that happens in your business. So your day-to-day business might seem super boring to you because you do it every single day, but your customers, they're interested in the behind-the-scenes content that they don't know or see on a regular basis. So for an example, day in the life of behind-the-scenes content might be adding new products, or like when you get a new shipment of product in and you have to shelf that, or maybe you're bringing new brands into your business and introducing those brands, whether it's premium products or luxury products, whatever it is. That kind of content, your customers are definitely interested in that, especially if you can continue to demonstrate credibility and authority on what those brands are good for. Again, remember that customers are not looking for just any old food, right? Like they want the food that is going to help their pet with kidney disease, or going to help their dog with arthritis, or it's going to prevent shedding or anything like that. So if you can demonstrate some of that stuff, then that's really going to help you get engagement, reach, and build that connection with those customers. I think Lynn mentioned cuteness. We work in an industry where the top subject is, it's like a cheat code. Like dogs and cats are just meant for social media. It is incredibly easy to create content around dogs or cats in store and get great reach online. So don't ever forget that you have plenty of like actors inside your store that can create really good content for you. Best of lists, I think as the internet gets more and more cluttered, people are looking for recommendations. They're looking for direction on the best product for their pet, or the best group of products for their pet, or best brands for their pet. And so if you can provide a best of list that gives them a little bit more direction, gives them a recommendation on what product they should be purchasing for their pet, that's pretty valuable content. And again, this is all elevating you into a position of credibility and authority in the eyes of your consumers. Contests and giveaways are extremely easy ways to generate a lot of reach, bring people into the top part of your funnel, and get them onto an email list, or have them follow you on social media where they then see more content from you. Definitely stay in touch with trends and popular audio or memes to increase visibility and reach. If you stay engaged with that and kind of do it the right way at the right time, you can really get pretty crazy numbers and go viral on some of that stuff. So collaborating with influencers is also another good idea. I know this has been mentioned quite a bit, but influencers have this already established audience that trusts them. So a recommendation from an influencer on a particular brand or product, it comes with significant weight. There's trust already built there. So using a pet influencer or just an influencer in general to market your products or your business can be a good idea. I don't want to forget about other businesses. For a lot of the pet retailers that we visited a couple of days ago, some of them had grooming stations or pet washes. I think one of them also had like a small veterinary clinic. But it makes a lot of sense for local businesses to partner with other businesses that have the similar audience but different services or products. So if you run a brick and mortar pet retail location, generate a relationship with a veterinary service or a grooming salon or a dog walker or pet sitter where your audiences are aligned, right? But you guys provide different services and you can refer each other business. You can also collaborate online as well to kind of notify people of partnerships like that, and you guys can generate additional business for each other. Hashtag challenges can definitely encourage users to create content for you, and that's always a good thing. We're going to talk a little bit more about user-generated content in a minute here, but when you've got other people creating content for your business, you've won. Like, that is a huge compliment for you, and getting that to happen can be manufactured, right? Like, you can manipulate that and create that energy and that trend on social media. In-feed ads can really help, right? Like, you do have to put some budget behind it, but TikTok's algorithm in particular is highly effective at reaching a very targeted audience. We're going to talk a lot about segmentation here in a bit, because putting an ad out to a very broad audience generally is not going to work quite as well. So we're going to talk about segmentation later. Last thing here, don't forget about your local audiences, right? So using hashtags that are specifically localized or geotags that are specifically localized, that can also really help your business show up in some of these hashtags for local areas and local customers. All right, so you've got traffic going to your social media platforms, right? Traffic is nice, we've figured that out. Now, how do we get them to convert? And conversion is when the sales happen. So the best way to get them to convert is to create what's called a seamless shopping experience online. The most important part about this is having a website or a place for them to purchase that is optimized for mobile. Okay, 70% of online purchases are made from mobile devices. That's a huge portion, right? There are more people visiting your website on a mobile phone than on a computer or a desktop. So make sure that your website is optimized for those mobile users specifically. What does that mean? It means that you've got, basically it loads very quickly. There is no issues in terms of optimizing the images. The user experience and the user interface are simplified. It is very easy to purchase. And when you optimize all of these things, search engines like Google actually will rank you a little bit higher, which allows your business to be discovered more easily by customers or prospects of yours. The last thing, and one of the most important things that Google is looking for these days, is a fast load speed of your website. There are some ways where you can actually increase your load speed. Normally it requires compressing videos or compressing images or cleaning up some of the custom code on your website. But if you don't have a fast load speed, you're going to run into people that come to your website, the website doesn't load on their phone, and they leave. They're going to find another option, another opportunity to buy it elsewhere. And you'll have lost that opportunity because it took longer than 2 or 3 seconds to load your website. So mobile first design, super important. Number 2 is streamlined checkout. Okay, if you don't have mobile-friendly payments allowed, like digital wallet or Apple Pay or any other local payment methods, then you're creating a more clumsy experience. And those roadblocks, those obstacles, will create cart abandonment, which is where people put products into the shopping cart and then they bail, right? They don't complete the purchase. Number 2, if you can provide autofill to speed things up for them or guest checkout options, those are going to reduce friction for your customers as well. If you don't have a guest checkout option enabled, you'll run into customers that they don't want to provide their information, they don't want to create an account because it adds an extra step that they have to verify and jump through a bunch of hoops. And if you can avoid that by allowing a guest checkout option, then you give them the opportunity to essentially purchase a product from your store in 2 or 3 clicks, which is pretty fast, pretty easy, pretty streamlined. So how do we integrate your store with social media? A handful of different ways. So first one is you can actually enable shopping posts with product tags. And I don't know if you can see my laser pointer down there. People can click on this particular product and actually complete the purchase on TikTok, the whole thing, right? They see it, they click on it, they add it to the cart, they add payment, then they place the order. And that is entirely happening on TikTok, on the platform, which means they don't have to leave it, they don't have to load a new website. They can just do that on TikTok. Same thing happens on Instagram as well. If you do need to send them to your website, then I would recommend link in bio. Right? You see that in captions quite a bit. Go to the link in my bio, purchase this product, shop now. Same thing with stories, right? You can add links directly to Instagram stories and send people either directly to a shop or a product page. Number 3, you can actually sync your product catalog to allow purchases on the social platform, which will show you, or it'll show users, live inventory. So if you are running out of inventory or there's like only 3 left, you can use that as a selling point as well. You know, you can tell your prospects, you can tell people on social media, there's only 3 of these left, so kind of get it before it's gone. Last but not least, last resort, I would say you can run some of those targeted ads with a buy now button that goes to an external resource like a website. But I would say the more that you can integrate some of those tools onto the social media platforms themselves, the more seamless that shopping experience is going to be, and you reduce friction from a customer experience standpoint. Okay, so you've got the sale, right? Like you've got the website optimized, you are kind of zoom in from an e-commerce standpoint. Kind of the most important thing here is you don't want to have to pay to acquire that customer again. You want to keep them coming back. You want to build some brand loyalty in a way that makes them want to continue shopping with you. So this is the second half of our funnel, right? We had discovery, and then we had engagement, and then we had purchasing. And now we've got purchase. We want them to purchase again. And then the best thing that we can get is brand advocacy from people. So how do we build some of this customer loyalty on social media specifically? Personalizing the marketing messages and offering tailored experiences is probably the best way that you can do this. You're really focusing on not sending a broad one-size-fits-all message to every single person in your audience. You want to send a market of one, like you're speaking directly to a particular person in your audience. Number 2, build trust through meaningful engagement. We're going to dig into all of these individually. So last but not least, you can encourage repeat purchases with rewards, subscriptions, bonuses, benefits, things like that. So let's talk about personalizing some of your marketing and creating tailored messaging. So purchase history will allow you to come up with additional recommended items. So if you know that somebody has purchased a bag of dog food for the very first time, chances are maybe you want to offer them a related bag of treats. Maybe you want to offer them a dog food bowl to allow that to kind of be an additional upsell for them. The other thing that you can really do that I think is pretty cool is you can segment your audience in ways that allow you to, again, send a message to what feels like just one person. It's very, very, very targeted. So I actually want to do a short exercise here. Can you raise your hand if you own a dog? All right, cool. Handful of people here. So out of the dog owners, can you raise your hand now if you have a big dog? A couple, but not everybody. And how about if you have a small dog? A couple other people, right? Okay, so for my big and small dog people here, if I sent you a message that specifically said it provided a treat or a toy specifically for a big and small dog, that's going to have significantly more meaning and impact from a marketing standpoint than if I sent you a message that was trying to sell you kitty litter, right? And for everyone else that doesn't have a dog, maybe you have a cat, if you got that message for dog products and dog treats, you'd probably think I was an idiot, So if you can tailor that message really specifically based on audience data, then you create a very personalized experience, very tailored. You can also send direct messages through email and SMS with a lot of this data. So whether it's recommending products or it's using identifiers based on the data that you've collected, so customer first name, probably the pet's name, the pet type, right? So if you're able to recommend a specific product for this particular dog or provide a specific gift because you've got this dog's birthday or adoption day, having that level of personalization available to your customers, that's going to make you really stand out in terms of all of the other marketing that they're seeing on social media or in their inbox or everywhere in the rest of their life. Dynamic website content is actually a new opportunity that I think is available for a lot of you guys. So what I mean by this is you can create a recommended products for you section on your website that is tailored based on browsing history or purchase history. So whether it looks like, reorder your pet's top picks, or maybe it's like recommending a different protein for a dog because you understand that this customer has purchased a chicken-based protein for the last 3 months and it's a good idea to rotate that protein. Providing some personalized recommended content that is based on the data that you have is extremely powerful. Another example of this would be providing, say, a pop-up or a coupon for someone that has never been to your website, and a different pop-up or coupon for someone that has visited in the past but hasn't purchased anything, and then a third pop-up or coupon for a customer that has already purchased something in the past. So they're getting very different messages based on their behavior on the website. And all of that is available to you if you've got the data collection down on your website and in some of your metrics and your marketing tools. So how do we build trust, specifically through engagement in social media? I would say the biggest and best way to do this is to make sure that you're responding to customer inquiries promptly. This means it might be on a chat widget on your website, or maybe it's a social media inbox, but it could also just be on your social media posts. So if you have somebody that is asking, like, what size a particular product is on that post, and they never get an answer for you, they're going to find the answer to that information somewhere else, and they're going to purchase somewhere else as well. So if you're not able to answer that question or respond to that inquiry promptly, then that's a lost opportunity to make that sale. The last thing that I would say about that is you also have to take advantage of reviews too. So when customers are willing to spread, kind of compliments and spread the good word about your business, that has to be acknowledged as well. So anytime that somebody's interacting with your business online, you can't sit on it. It has to be an opportunity for you to kind of create more engagement, more awareness about that. Same thing with user-generated content. If you've got somebody that has posted on TikTok or on Instagram, they've tagged your business, or they're using a product that they got at your store or from your website, you need to showcase that. You need to repost that, reshare that. It needs to be highlighted. If you don't do that, they're not going to feel validated, or they're not going to feel like they're part of the community, or they're not going to feel valued by your business. So making sure that you showcase some of that user-generated content is incredibly important when it comes to building trust and making customers feel like they are part of a community or they're valued by your business. Hosting community events or live sessions is also a really good idea. So that's actually what Pet Products Trading Company is doing right now, right? Like, we're hosting a live event for its community. And what that's doing is elevating Pet Products Trading Company from an authority and credibility standpoint. But you can do this at your level as well, whether that is bringing in a local veterinarian to talk about food content or analysis of particular food, or bringing in a local groomer to talk about techniques, or whatever it is. You can host some of these live events, and you can build authority and credibility through association, as well as providing education to some of your customers and prospects. The last thing I would say is we spend a lot of time, or I've heard this over the last couple of days, about how pets are being humanized over time. But I don't want people to forget that businesses have to be human too. I also believe that when it comes to small businesses and local businesses, customers purchase from people before they purchase from the business. So you have to generate that relationship, right? You have to be human. And it can be difficult to generate a relationship or be human online when you don't get the opportunity to create like a face-to-face interaction. So if you're not showing your face, showing some of that behind-the-scenes content, or really humanizing your brand online, then it's just going to feel distant. It's going to feel kind of untrustworthy. It's going to feel hard to connect with, and that's going to create gaps in the funnel. It's going to create opportunities for prospects to find other places to purchase from. So how do we encourage repeat purchases? A loyalty program, this has been talked about quite a bit. This is, I would say, a no-brainer. If you do not have a loyalty program, you have to find a way to incentivize people to continue to come back to your store. There are so many different ways to do this and so many different opportunities to get creative around your loyalty program. An example would be like if you want to give cash off based on the amount of points collected at the register. Something simple like that, even if you don't have anything like that built out currently, that's going to do wonders for customer retention. Subscription service is another pretty significant opportunity that I would say that's available. So maybe this looks like auto shipping dog food, and for the first 3 months, or if you just enable it, you get 15% off the price for the customer. So not only does that make things a little bit easier for the customer from a convenience standpoint and from a user experience standpoint, but on your side, on the business side, it's recurring revenue that you can trust. It gives you a little bit of confidence. It gives you some cash flow. And it allows you to forecast into the future and make better investment or purchasing decisions. So it really benefits both the business and the consumer to have subscription services available. Number 3, loyalty should come with exclusive perks, right? Whether it's a tiered system or maybe it's just VIPs get free shipping. Even if it's simple, I would say start small. You have to figure out what's of value to your customers, and then find ways to kind of incentivize them to achieve certain tiers and get some of those exclusive perks that are not available to people that are outside the loyalty program. That's going to create a little bit of what we call in the States FOMO, which is fear of missing out, And when you see other people kind of getting rewards, getting perks, getting exclusive bonuses, they're going to want to be part of that cool club. It's an exclusive thing that they're going to get jealous of. Sending follow-up reminders can also humanize your business, but it also gives you the opportunity for an additional touch point based on, again, you need data for things like this, but if they're expected to be running out of food in 4 to 6 weeks, you can send a follow-up reminder that says, hey, does your dog's name, like does Buster have enough food? We've just restocked on the particular brand of food that you've purchased for the last 3 months. So sending personalized follow-up reminders is, I would say, a no-brainer as well. One of my favorite things about all of these is that you can automate all of these. You can set this up and kind of forget about it. There are systems out there that can do a lot of this for you, so it's not like you have to create a exclusive perk for one person individually and do it for every customer that is in that group, right? Like you can fully automate these loyalty programs, these subscription services, exclusive perks, and follow-up reminders through platforms like email or SMS marketing or even websites. So customers feel valued when you combine all of these things, right? When you personalize the marketing message and offer a tailored experience, when you build trust through meaningful engagement, interacting with them online in ways that are personalized, right? It's an individual one-to-one touch point. And then when you incentivize repeat purchases and build some loyalty. So that can be done, again, through rewards, subscriptions, bonuses, benefits, exclusive perks that you don't find elsewhere. Okay, so let's say we've mastered driving traffic to our social platforms. We understand that we need a optimized e-commerce website, and we've worked on building loyalty. What is next in all of e-commerce, right? We have to look at how we future-proof our business. Future-proofing means staying ahead of the curve and being able to take advantage of a lot of the growth that's going to happen over the next 5 years here in the pet industry. So there's a handful of different things that we want to cover today. So we've got trends to watch, things that you'll see in the next year or the next 5 years, immediate action steps. So this is my advice for you to kind of go home, do it tonight. Number 3, some easy steps that you guys can take to optimize your online store right away. And then number 4, some easy steps that you guys can take to start to build customer loyalty, encourage repeat purchases, and build recurring revenue. So some trends to watch. AI personalization is happening at an incredibly fast rate in the United States. AI is totally mainstreamed at this point, and that's allowing certain businesses to do a lot of things that they couldn't do just a couple of years ago, whether that is AI chatbots or recommending specific products based on purchase history. Again, all run through an AI. There are so many tools and platforms out there that can kind of start taking some of this information and some of these tasks off of your hand, and you can start to take advantage of one of these trends. Number 2, subscription models. We've talked pretty much at length about this, but this is a growing trend where people they don't want to have to worry about buying routine products that they do every single month. They would rather put this on subscription and have it sent to them or have it waiting for them at the store where they can pick it up. So taking advantage of the convenience, again, not just for consumers, but for you as a business owner as well, is another trend to watch. And then last, but certainly not least here, we've got social commerce innovation. So if you take a look at this graph, we're actually down here in 2024. Like, look how small that is. They expect by 2030 for it to be 500%, right? 5 times bigger. And this is global, right? So global social commerce revenue. And what I mean by that is, like, you've got platforms and tools, TikTok and Instagram primarily, at your disposal right now to help you get a piece of this market share by 2030. But if you don't start now, if you don't start like honing those skills and sharpening those tools, then you're definitely going to miss out on some of this. And unfortunately, that is the reality. Like, you have to start acting on some of these trends early, be an early adopter, and take advantage of them if you want a piece of the pie down the road. So social commerce is only going to get bigger. So some immediate action steps. Start experimenting with AI tools. couple of examples off the top of my head. Klaviyo and Shopify have options for automated messaging, whether that is text messaging or emails or chatbots. There are definitely opportunities for them to take some of that, kind of those marketing tasks off your hands and fully automate them. Number 2, pilot a subscription service. An example here might be a VIP box, right? Maybe it's got a treat or a bag of treats and a toy and one mystery item that gives you an opportunity to surprise and delight people when they receive it every single month. But if you don't try something like this soon, then you won't know what customers like when you want to develop it and build it over the next couple of years, and you won't know like what really incentivizes customers to sign up for that subscription service. So if you don't try it, right, you have to continue to optimize and improve it over time, get customer feedback. But the biggest thing is that you just start. Same thing with shoppable ad forms, right? So a lot of those examples that I gave you a little bit earlier, I would say give yourself a modest budget to begin with and start trying things. Again, it's not going to be perfect at the start, but if you continue to optimize it and kind of tinker with ad copy and creative and your offer and your discount, by the time that social commerce really starts to explode, you should have figured out a way to optimize your offers and your audience targeting in a way that is highly effective and generate significant return on ad spend. When it comes to optimizing your online store, a few things that I would do pretty much tonight: add a live chat widget or a live chat with AI. Now, the only reason I would not do this is if this becomes a communication channel that you cannot manage. Nothing is like more frustrating on a website when you need help. There's a chat widget, you put in a message, and you're either forced to wait for like an hour for help, or there's no help whatsoever. There's no communication. So if you can't manage that communication channel, don't add live chat. But I would recommend managing it and adding live chat to give customers another opportunity to come in contact with your business. Mobile first design. Remember, 70% of purchases on a website are happening from a smartphone, and over half of users on your website are going to be on a smartphone as well. So mobile first design means things are responsive, the site loads very quickly, the navigation is very intuitive and easy to use. It's easy for me to find specific things on your website. So if I know exactly what I want, what I'm looking for, is it easy for me to find that on your website? And if it's not, they're going to go elsewhere, I promise. Online shoppers are incredibly fickle. Number 3, you have to streamline checkout. Remember, we talked about adding specific mobile-first options, right? So Apple Pay or guest checkout or autofill options. So I would definitely recommend doing that. How do we start building customer loyalty today? I love a thank you incentive. So after the first purchase, they get their receipt in their inbox, they get their invoice, whatever it is. 15 minutes later, send them an automated message that says, hey, here, as a thank you from me to you, here's 15% off your next purchase, or take $10 off your next purchase. That's an easy way to get people to create that second purchase. If you don't have a loyalty program, I would say invite people to a basic beta test of it. Now, what I mean by that is, one, people like to be first, and it does pay to be first. So give them an opportunity to kind of be like the testers. But if you're going to try this out, make sure that you are regularly collecting feedback. It definitely helps to know what's important to your customers. And if you don't know what's important to them, then you're not going to be able to create offers around what's important to them and create kind of content around what's going to influence them to either join a loyalty program or be a loyal customer for you. Launch a referral program. You can either do this with other local businesses, veterinary services, dog walkers, sitters, groomers, trainers, boarders, any other local business. But you can also do this among friends and for individual customers. So a referral program might just be, if somebody brings a buddy into your store, they get $10 off their next purchase. Like, it is that simple, but you get a new person that creates a loyalty account in your business. And that allows you to market to them as well. If you're not already collecting customer data, you have to start that right away. The customer data that I would start collecting initially, You definitely need name, email address, and phone number. That is the absolute minimum. But on top of that, you can start to create significantly more tailored and personalized marketing messages with things like purchase behavior, online behavior, the name of a pet, the type of pet, whether it's bird, fish, dog, cat, the pet's birthday or their adoption date, and anything that might kind of differentiate that particular customer from someone else. So maybe they have a particular purchasing history of buying products to help out with a dog that is experiencing arthritis, like particular supplements or treats, something like that. That kind of information is incredibly valuable to you because it allows you to send that personalized message to them. So now we've got a lot of pieces on the strategy side. Let's talk about how we put all of that into action. So some of the key takeaways from today. Social commerce is going to happen. Whether you're a part of that movement is totally up to you. It is your business, and those are your social media platforms, but that is where your audience is. You can use TikTok and Instagram to drive traffic to your website or get conversions directly from those platforms. If you optimize your website for mobile-first users, right, if you invest in your customers, then they're going to continue to invest in you. So think of it more as a relationship rather than a transaction or something that you can just buy. You do have to build that relationship. It's just different online. And that's all I have for you guys today. If you do want to download the slides, they are here. You just scan that QR code. I'll get it out of your way. But again, just want to thank Pet Products Trading Company, and I'm super honored to be here. It is definitely one of the highlights of my career. So thank you so much for your time. I would love to chat with you guys too. If you have questions or if you want to discuss your personal businesses, I'm happy to have those discussions afterward. And if there are any questions, I actually have no idea how much time I have, but I would love to answer a question. Sure. Yeah, so the question was how to create better videos, basically, for brands or businesses. The first thing I would say is you have to lose any fear that you have of looking stupid or being camera shy. The sooner you can get rid of that fear and just create and publish and do it again, the better off you're going to be. So the first time you guys did anything, you were probably really bad at it, you know? Me too. But it takes practice, and you have to iterate, and you have to optimize, look at data. As far as like the basics of creating video for a platform like TikTok, definitely pay attention to trends, so particular things that are happening on that platform or music that goes along with it. But then from a more technical standpoint, the things that I would pay attention to are things like lighting, your voiceover, the length of your content, and almost, I think, maybe most important is your hook. Your hook is what's going to happen in the first 3 seconds of your video. And if you don't have a hook, people are going to scroll. But if you have a hook that is very sticky and it captures attention, then you can create content beyond that hook that allows them to consume more of that content. But if you don't have a very powerful hook for every single video, and it does take practice to create good hooks, then you're kind of screaming into the void. Like you're going to be spending a lot of time and energy creating content that doesn't resonate with your audience. Definitely. Happy to answer other questions. Or if I have to get off, I know Dr. Urška's up next. And yeah, I can get off. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you مهندس ألدرش. أعزائي الحضور، كان اليوم حافل بتغطيتنا للكثير من المواضيع المهمة، والآن نحن متحمسون لختام محاضراتنا مع الوصفة السحرية لطعام الحيوان. نحن سعداء بوجود الدكتورة أورشكا معنا اليوم لتشاركنا من خلال خبرتها الطويلة حول الوصفة السحرية لتغذية الحيوانات الأليفة، ونتعلم كيفية رعاية حيواناتنا الأليفة بشكل أفضل. نرحب جميعا بالدكتورة أورشكا شكوفكا.
Thank you so much, and thank you for coming on this late lecture. Today we're going to talk about the recipe for the perfect pet food because, of course, everybody wants to feed the perfect thing to our pet or our pets if we have more. This is one of the questions that I get daily at least once in my clinic. So what's the best food for my dog? And the answer is not easy, or the answer is not just one answer, because on the market, as you can see on the food show these days, we have a lot of options to feed our animals. One of them is dry food. I think this one is very common, it's very convenient, most of us know it, it's been on the market for century plus. Then we have wet or canned food, which is also, I can remember it since I was a child, so at least 30 plus years that it's on offer. Then it's semi-moist food, which is something in between the wet and dry food. Raw food, which in, I don't know, maybe last 10 years really rose to popularity, became more mainstream than before. You have freeze-dried food, which is basically a novelty. It's not really on the market for that long. And you have, of course, also home-cooked food. Some people still want to cook for their animals, want to have a feeling that they're cooking for their child. As we were talking today, the humanization is real. A lot of people don't have kids, they have pets, and if they cook for their pets, they feel like they're taking the best care for them. So today we're gonna talk about different foods, and we're gonna start with dry food, which is, again, very common. It usually contains 6 to 10% of water. It's very dry. This is why it's shelf stable, meaning that it can stand for a very long time if the bag is not open. You can buy this food, you can put it in your pantry, and it can wait there for quite some time. Ingredients are combined, then extruded through an extruder and dried. This means that all the corn or wheat or chicken and liver and broccoli and peas and pumpkin that went inside went through a mixer. It became like a mass and went through the extruder and was dried. So every single piece of that dry food is basically a perfect mixture of this food that went inside. It's not that free kibble have this and free kibble have that. Even though some pet foods, but I haven't seen it in forever in Slovenia, when you opened it, there were different colors of kibble. So it was like, you know, the veggies and the fruits and the meats, they were very colorful, but all the kibble is made the same. It contains a lot of supplements of vitamins and minerals, because when you go through this process of extrusion, a lot of nutrients are destroyed, especially vitamins. So you have to add it back in for the food to be perfect. And it usually contains flavor enhancers because, again, when you go through extrusion, you destroy some of the natural flavor and appeal to it. And you have to put it back so the animals are actually eating, because having this food that is very convenient and shelf-stable is useless if nobody wants to eat it. And is the most calorie-dense food there is, meaning in a low volume of food you have a lot of calories. It's very effective, it's very convenient. You don't have to have a large quantity of food to feed your cat. It's really, most cats need about 2 tablespoons of dry food a day, which is very little. So, as said, it's very convenient because it can be stored in very large amounts. It's affordable. Considering cost to volume and energy, this is the most cost-effective food there is. It's calorie-dense, as we said, so in a small quantity we have a lot of nutrition. And it can be stored for a very long period of time if it's closed. So if the bag is damaged or open in any way, the fats start to deteriorate and the food basically spoils. It's very balanced. A lot of brands, there are so many brands of pet food in the market. I know maybe half of them, and I know of a lot of pet brands, but most of them are balanced. You have some that are not, and you should always check the ingredient list, like we talked yesterday, because there it said if it's like balanced and complete food, or it's like an addition to some other food. And it's easy to manage portions. Most of the packaging has some information in the back. If your pet is this old and weighs this much, you feed this much per day. But on the other side, it's a very heavily processed food, so it goes through a lot of steps to become this shelf-stable kibble. It's very high in carbs because you cannot have dry kibble without any carbohydrates. You need carbohydrates for it to have shape, to have the crunchiness that the animals like. It's high usually in plant-based protein because they are cheap. And they're not, as we talked yesterday, as useful to the animals as there are animal-based proteins. It's less palatable because it has low water content, so it doesn't smell that nice. And it's also less digestible just because it's a processed food that is dry, and if you don't add any moisture to it in a form of animal drinking or some supplement, it can take quite a while for digest. And also, I can see when I have a pet that, for example, they say, yeah, he's not eating today since, I don't know, yesterday afternoon, and you take an x-ray and the stomach is still full. And we go to see, it's kibble. It's always kibble, because it takes a very long time to process, usually 12 hours or more, which we will talk later why this is important, but it takes a long time, but at the same time, the pets are also full for a long time, because it's there, it's creating some volume in the stomach. And as said, long storage, especially if the product is damaged, can cause rancidity and contamination. At my clinic, we had some trouble 2 years ago with one of the brands we were selling, that the clients were coming back because there were worms inside the food. It went so, it was in such a large scale that we opened all the food we had in the shop, and we noticed that it's only this brand that is actually contaminated, so the problem was already in the storage. It was not at our clinic. And in the end, before we actually discontinued this food, because it was never-ending problem, when a client came, I want to buy this, I was like, okay, can I open it in front of you now, just to see that it's safe so you don't return tomorrow with a complaint. Next are semi-moist foods, which are, as we said, something in between the kibble and the dry food. They're more similar to wet food because they contain a little less water, but they're not very dry. They're usually in these pouches, which are technically for one meal for an average dog. They usually come in very small pouches, and they are very good for small dogs, for example. But if you have, I don't know, a Malamute, this small pouch, you would need a few to actually feed your animal. They're very palatable because they have more moisture inside, and moisture is what makes it smell nice, so the animal is like, like Dr. de Graça Pereira said already yesterday and today, and we were talking yesterday, the smells are very strong, especially in cats. They see their environment through smell, and if something smells good, the cat will come and like, what is this, you know? This is interesting, I might eat it. But it's problematic because it has quite still a lot of sugar and salt, just to be very palatable, of course, because sugar and salt are good. On the contrary, cats cannot taste sugar, so for them the sugar is useless, but dogs love it. If we go to wet food, it contains a lot of water. It's approximately 75%. It can go as high as 85%. So it's mostly water, and it's by it's the most expensive because of it, by calorie density. Because you have a lot of water in it. Water doesn't have calories. You need to feed more for the animal to get the same amount of nutrients or calories in the diet. So if we said before that you feed about 2 tablespoons of dry food per cat per day, here you would need 4 or 5 cans of about 80 grams to get the same nutrition inside, which volume-wise it's quite bigger. There are so many times on the market, you have a pâté, which is like this thick, and some cats like it, or even dogs, it's like chunks, you can cut it in some cubes. There are chunks in gravy that are sometimes very like thick chunks. Sometimes it looks like some fiber of meat that it's in some watery gravy, or maybe it's like very stewy like. The cats really love any kind of thing in gravy because again it's water and it's very palatable because it has quite a lot of fat in it, and as we said yesterday, fat is good, fat it's palatative, and fat is also something that stays on the tongue for a while, so the cat is actually enjoying it for quite a while. Then we have pieces of meat in water. For the past few years, for my cats, I'm buying food that actually looks better than the tuna I buy for myself, because when you open it, there's these nice pieces of filet inside with a little shrimp, and I honestly sometimes would eat it myself because it smells really good. So this is also one of the points from humanization. If you open it and I'm like, oh, this looks nice and smells amazing, I will probably buy it again, because if I like it, my pet must like it. But can be nutritionally incomplete, so again, attention on the ingredients list on the back, because some of these are really meant more as a treat than actual complete food. The problem when you add wet food, sometimes animals will not accept it, especially cats can be very fussy, not just with the water as we talked yesterday, also with the food. I have cats that eat kibble and nothing but kibble and will fight you to death to it. And you have cats that will eat wet food, but specific type of wet food with specific serial number, because if it's a different serial number, it's not good anymore. So, but with dogs are much more forgiving. When you give them wet food, they will usually never touch the kibble again, because give me that wet food, that was really good. At least my dog was like this, and we had a fight for about a week before I won, because I'm a bit more competitive than she is, and she was hungry in the end. So with the pros, it increases water intake, especially in cats. As told yesterday, they really do need a lot of water through their food because they eat it like this in the wild. It's very palatable. I use it especially for very sick animals, because when you don't have the appetite, the kibble will probably not smell really good to you, but this, you can heat it. I sometimes tell my clients, just take a little bowl of it and put it in the microwave for 5 seconds, just so it smells. And most of the animals will eat it. It's less calorie dense, so if you have a kitty that needs to lose a few kilos, this is a good option for the kitty to feel full but not eat so many calories. And once it's canned, it can be stored for a very, very long time. But when opened, you need to put it in the fridge and use it within maximum of 2 days. This used to be a problem for small dogs because most of the wet food was in really big cans. So I was always telling my clients, just put whatever is left in the freezer and take it out. But now you have all these options from 80 grams to basically 1.5 kilo can. You can really buy what is perfect for your pet. And can be used to hide medication. This is especially important for me because when I give you pills, most of the animals will not be very happy with them, especially cats. And it's because it's very nice and moist and full of nutrients and very palatable, you can actually crush the pills that are usually not very good and put it in very small amount of it. But the cat has to be hungry because as we said before, the cats smell very good, and if you put it in a large amount of food, the cat will eat around it, always. So have the cat hungry, put a little bit of medication in a little bit of food, 1 teaspoon, and then when he or she eats that, give them more. On the contrary, it's a very expensive option, especially if you have a very large dog. You can easily spend 3 to 4 times more than if you would feed dry food. It does not stay fresh long. So if you have a cat who eats 2 licks right now and maybe 3 hours later it will come for a few more nibbles, especially here you have very hot summers, here's a lot of heat, this will spoil. So you either have to give your cat every single time a little bit and put the rest in the fridge, or you have a lot of waste, which is not good environmentally and expensive. Again, it's expensive and you're throwing it away. And ink can be problematic in animals because it can get stuck within the teeth and it's not very good if the animal is already having trouble. Although, if the teeth are so problematic that I take everything out, which happens quite often in small breeds in mature age, then this is basically the food of choice. And again, once you put your Shih Tzu on wet food, it will never touch kibble again. Then we have raw food. I'm a big fan of raw food because it's not processed at all. It's basically back to the wild, even though they are not wolves or wild tigers, they still really, really love it. And I can see my animals, my pets, when I give them something raw, it's really like, it's enrichment. Again, it can be enrichment for the pets, and they really enjoy it, especially with some meaty bones. My dogs can take forever with meaty bones. I don't know, I have 3 dogs anymore. It typically has to contain muscle meat and organs, because muscle meat looks very nice. We like it on the plate. It makes great steak, but nutritionally wise, it's nothing special in there. While in the organs, you have all the good vitamins and minerals, and of course, quite a lot of fat as well, which, as we said yesterday, it's essential. It has to have some bones and some cartilage, because there is where you have a lot of minerals. Some raw eggs, vegetables and fruits. As said yesterday, vegetables and fruits really are better if they're cooked and processed. So you have this pate basically, because otherwise they cannot go through the plant cell wall. And some dairy products. Usually it's some cottage cheese or yogurt, not straight up milk, because they don't have the enzymes to go through lactose. It's the food of wild ancestors, as we said, so basically this is what cats and dogs ate for millennia. It makes really easy weight management because it's very satisfying. Raw food, similar to wet food, it's very rich in water. So you are full, but because there's no carbs usually, and there's all these fibers from the veggies and fruits, you feel full for a long time. And in the meantime, your owner is a really good boy and he brings you that meaty bone and you have 4 hours of entertainment. So you are really not just scavenging around trying to go into the garbage and eat something there. It has very good dental hygiene. Unfortunately, on the market, there are so many products that, you give to your dog and it will clean his teeth and all the problems will end. But all these treats are really nice and all the animals love it, but they eat it in about 4.2 seconds. So they will not do anything for the teeth because they're not using it as a toothbrush as we would. But again, meaty bones, the dog will chew on it from different angles and directions for hours and hours. And this is actually how you clean teeth. We also scrub it, right? And it has very good general benefits of unprocessed food source. So there's no additives, there's no conservatives. It's basically raw food from the fridge. And again, I don't know how it is in Saudi Arabia, but in Europe, right now it's very, you need to eat clean. You need to be an ingredient household, so no processed snacks. Everything has to be straight from the fridge and you have to cook everything. If it's possible, lower on the carbs, maybe even keto, because that's healthy and all of that. And again, humanization. Of course, my dog will eat the same as me. I want him to be healthy and live a long time. But of course, as we said, unprocessed, it has high allergy levels because there's meat and there's fat in it. And as we said, fat is very energy dense and the animal can use it to make glucose if necessary. And because it's very unprocessed, one of the things the clients will notice first is my dog is pooping very small lately. Because there's less fiber, there's less everything inside, and the biological availability of this food is high. So it's normal for the dog to have very little waste. But, of course, it has its own problems. It's a potential risk to human health. It's raw food, raw meat. Raw meat can have bacteria. It can have toxins. It can have parasites. And lately, I don't know how's the situation here right now, but in the US they have quite a lot of problem with the avian flu. Some cats died because of it, because cats are susceptible to it. But you can avoid this if you don't do it at home by yourself from stuff you bought at the supermarket, but you buy already prepared raw food, which is, I think it's not available in Saudi Arabia, but in Europe we have like 15 brands. You go to the pet shop and there's these big freezers and you can choose which protein, if you want blueberries or maybe raspberries in it. It's like a really huge selection of already prepared, balanced, and of course risk-free, because all the meat is certified before it arrives in the processing plant. So there's no parasites, no bacteria, no anything. Here I would say just a potential risk. If you buy meat at the store and you give it raw to your animal, it can have some bacteria, because even by European legislation, which is very, very strict on this level, it is meant that you will cook the meat. So the meat will be destroyed, bacteria on the heat. But if you give that same steak to your dog, it's possible some Campylobacter will be there. It can be unbalanced. If you're doing it at home, it's quite difficult to have it balanced. You need to put quite a lot of time and energy and also knowledge in it to be like the perfect food. Again, just buy prepared, frozen, raw food, and you're there. And it's very not easy for transport and storage. You need a freezer. If you have a large dog and you buy it once a month, you need a very large freezer to store everything. If you have a small apartment, that's a problem. And of course, you take your dog to vacation for 2 weeks camping. Will you take the freezer with you? Probably not. So this is like, it's very good, very clean option, but not the most convenient of them all. And then we have freeze-dried food, which explodes lately in the market, from freeze-dried meals to freeze-dried treats that I tried with my animals and they love it. It contains raw ingredients and is minimally processed, because you basically have this raw food that is ground and then freeze-dried. Freeze-drying is a process where you basically take the moisture out and then freeze it. So it's basically, it retains all the flavor, all the vitamins and minerals, all the nutrition there is. You don't have to add anything onto it. And it can be a very natural alternative to other commercially produced foods. Again, freeze-drying still can have some risk of the avian flu that is now in the US, but you have to see if your provider or your brand have the meat tested before it comes into the plant. Freeze-drying removes water, but as said, remains taste, smell, and general appearance, and it contains no starches because they're not needed for the product to have shape. It's calorie dense because it has a lot of protein and quite some fat, although it's usually a bit less fat because fat doesn't really freeze dry that well. But it's high protein, and you can feed it in the form as it is, or you can add water and basically make like wet raw food. It has extended shelf life. It has integrity of ingredients. It's naturally preserved and nutrient dense, as we said. It's very palatable. Animals love it. It's highly digestible because it's basically just raw food that was freeze-dried, so it's not cooked or thermically done anything to it, and it's very easy for transport. So when the clients ask me, like, my dog is eating raw, but we're going for vacation for 3 weeks, what should we do? Like, this is a very good option to have. You will have next best thing to raw, but it's still very good thing, and you can travel with it easily. And freeze drying makes everything very light, so it's not heavy to haul around if you're going hiking or something like that. Again, potential pathogen exposure, but if we buy food that is made in good plants, they already have the meat inspected and certified. It's very expensive because freeze drying is a very expensive process. It's one of my wish to have one at home to make my own dog treats, but it's insane cost. And it can be potentially incomplete, but you can find many complete and balanced brands outside. So again, be careful of the ingredients list and the what it says on the back. And then we have home-cooked food, which it's the most inconvenient of it all because you have to prepare it, you have to remember to prepare it, you have to remember if you're preparing in advance to take it out of the freezer. But it's a good alternative to all commercial diets because sometimes some animals are really having a problem finding something that they will not eat themselves to blood. It can be very difficult to make it without the help of a nutritionist because, again, same as raw food, you have to know what to combine in what amount for your pet exactly. But at least in Europe now we have pet nutritionists who are going around and will help you make a diet plan. So you're not on your own anymore. And you have complete monitoring of ingredients. So you know if the broccoli is organic, if the chicken was raised outside on a pasture farm because you're the one buying the ingredient. It's very palatable. I don't know a dog that would say no to a home-cooked meal. Cats are different. Depends what you make and how you make it. My cats give my cooking C- maybe. But my dogs, they eat everything. They're very happy with it. So, what are the best choices for our doggies here? Dogs are technically omnivores. They have a strong carnivore bias, so we should really focus, as said yesterday, to stuff with a bit more protein and a bit less carbs. But they can sustain and thrive on various diets. And we really need here individual assessment. So what's your activity level or your dog's activity level? What's the breed? What's the life stage? Is it a puppy? Is it an adult? Is it an older dog? What are potential health issues? Does it need more attention to low fat content? Does it need a bit more attention to lower protein content because it has some kidney problems? Individual assessment of family lifestyle. So what's your family lifestyle? Do you have 7 kids and you want to cook for your dog? You will not cook for your dog for long because you don't have time for that. Are you very active, not home a lot? You will probably not be able to cook for your dog again. So it's better to choose something else. Again, if you're traveling a lot, hiking with your dog a lot, then maybe raw food is not the best choice because you will be mixing and matching quite a lot. And in the end, the transitioning of foods. Before I mentioned that dry food takes a very long time to digest. And people are often asking me, but I want to give some home-cooked food to my dog sometimes, you know, as a special treat for the holidays, or I want to give him some raw food because you said it's good. I want to try if he eats it, if he likes it. You can mix and match however you want. You just really need to pay attention to never mix raw food with dry food because raw food has about 4 to 6 hours time of process in the stomach. It will start rotting and the animal will not feel good, okay? It's okay if you give your dog for breakfast some kibble and some raw meat for dinner, that's fine. You can mix dry food and wet food. This is always a trick. If the animals will not eat dry food, you put 1 spoon of wet food on it and you mix it a little bit. And you know, as Italians would say, appetito vien mangiando. So when you start eating, you get the appetite to eat more. And of course, the freeze-dried, if nothing else, the treats are really highly palatable, even for cats who are very fussy usually what they actually want to eat. And when it comes to cats, dry food has a low water content, which I don't know, maybe I told it about 70 times now. It's a problem with our kitties because they really do the most intake of water with their food. It has a lot of carbs. Cats really do not have the best metabolism for carbs. They have a lot of problems. If nothing else, they become very obese. And a lot of plant-based proteins, which, as we said yesterday, cats really need animal-based proteins. They can have some, but not completely plant-based proteins. They are not the best option for the cat. The wet food has a great water content, so if you feed your cat just wet food, perfect. Your cat will be probably very healthy for a long time. It usually has animal-based protein because no cat would eat wet food made of lentils and peas, but probably some would, but not for a long time. And it's a gentler process of processing, so it actually contains a little bit more nutrition than the actual dry food. Even though dry food, don't take it wrong, it's complete nutritionally, okay? They put everything back in, so it's still there. It's just like through the process, they have to add it in the end. The raw food for cats is awesome. Again, high water content. It's animal-based because, again, no cat will eat raw chickpeas. It has no processing, but we need to be careful of the contamination. Maybe with contamination, just a few words as well with the lifestyle. If you are a household with somebody who has impacted immune system, or a pregnant woman, or very young kids, you really need to be careful of the hygiene of the bowls, of the preparing site and everything, because when kids are crawling around, there can be some bacteria that will not harm the cat or the dog at all, because they will destroy it in the stomach, but can be problematic for people who are not the healthiest or their immune systems are not up to par. And freeze-dried foods, there's low water content, but you can add it and make basically a wet raw food. It's raw-based, so again, minimal processing, and it's animal-based as well, so there's no trouble of taurine or arginine or any kind of protein inside. Again, my cat doesn't want to drink. Give it raw food, give it wet food, give it freeze-dried food, reconstituted, meaning you added water back in. And here you can really play with it. You can put a little bit of water, you can put a lot of water. Once you give water some taste, most of the cats will be more than happy to eat it, or drink it, I should say. You should have multiple bowls of water, as Dr. Gonçalo de Graça Pereira, sorry, already said, in different locations. As much cats as you have, that many locations of bowls you have to have for water. It's one high, one low, different bowls. Maybe one should be porcelain, one can be ceramic, one can be plastic, one can be bamboo. Depends what the cat will actually like. And water fountains, we recently bought one for my cat. They are washing their paws in it and making a mess, so the purchase was not really successful. One of them is afraid because it has the mechanism to start running the water when the cat walks by, so now he refuses to go in that part of the room, absolutely. Again, type of bowl, the bowl should be very wide because the cats really hate when their whiskers are touching the sides. It's best, actually my cats have a really large water bowl meant for dogs because they can drink even 2 at a time if they want without touching the whiskers on the side, and they drink more now that they have a big bowl than they did before with multiple small bowls. And flowing water, our clinic cat, we have a clinic cat that lives there. He absolutely only drinks when you open the tap for him. And some cats will only drink like this, and he will just sit next to the sink and meow into oblivion until somebody comes and opens the tap water lightly so he can drink. And then we are wasting water because most of the time he's looking at it for a while, you know, and just observing the beauty of it, but he will drink it. And it's one of the options if your cat doesn't want to drink otherwise to get some water inside. So, as I said, what's the perfect recipe for the perfect food? It doesn't exist. It depends on many factors of influence. Again, breed, age, your lifestyle. It should really be individually assessed. It can be done with a professional who sells food because I believe they are highly trained what they offer, or your veterinarian. We are there when you come for vaccinations, ask questions. I always tell my clients, if you have questions, I'm here. If you don't remember them now, call me, send me an email. We can discuss it. We're here for your pets. And as cats, we already said they are obligate carnivores, so they need a lot of water with their food. Very little carbs, nothing if it can be chosen, and very good quality of protein because they need some essential amino acids. And reading the labels, as I said yesterday, is essential to choose something for you. And in the end, it depends on your pet. They will eat something, refuse something else, and like your dog will eat something that my dog will absolutely not touch. My dog will love something that will give your dog diarrhea. You have to try a little bit. So most of the pet clerks in the shops are very open to giving you samples, to giving you small batches of food so you can try it out. If you try new food, don't give up immediately. You need at least a few days to see. The diarrhea can be very normal because it's something that it's new for the microbiota of the pet. But if you, for example, have a dog that scratches and I say, okay, eliminate chicken, you need to wait at least 3 to 6 weeks before we actually see, okay, the chicken was the problem and now he's eating lamb and it's fine. And this is it from my side. I am open to questions. If anyone wants, I have some business cards. I can give you my contact and you're welcome to ask me stuff. And again, as everybody, I would like to thank the organizers for the invitation and hosting. It's been amazing. I really love your country. I'm here for the first time, but not the last time. So thank you.